This sounds cool. I love Korea. So, well, I love South Korea. I should probably preface that. Mr.
Oh
Trump,
man.
if you're listening to this podcast, which I know you are, I do not love North Korea. I don't like Little Rocket Man. All right, pal?
Oh man.
Welcome back to the Casket Minds podcast, your destination for all things gaming, including the latest in game industry news, in depth reviews, impressions, and much more. As always, I'm your host, Mitch, alongside
Drew.
Absolutely. So, on today's episode of Casket Minds, we are talking about the Summer Game Fest in its entirety, the show showcase, the Xbox showcase, plus the Outer Worlds 2 Direct, vaguely, and PlayStation's Ghost of Yotei State of Play. We'll dive into all of these and much more right now. But before we do that, Drewby, let's do some housekeeping.
All right, let's do some housekeeping.
We're severely late in getting these impressions out. We kept pushing it back and pushing it back because there was more and more little events popping up, like Capcom, and there was a direct for Donkey Kong Bonanza, which is officially out now, which I've been playing, which goes right into the nice little segue into da-da-da, I have Donkey Kong Bonanza. I've played about like 7 or 8 hours of it now. I am infatuated with this game. I don't want to say that I love it yet because I feel like I've barely scratched the surface, pun intended, but it's also incredible and it's all I can think about when I'm not playing it, even right now. I literally just want to go around smashing things and finding banandiums and fossils, and it's incredible. It's honestly like a perfect culmination of like if you took Breath of the Wild, like Super Mario Odyssey, um, a game that I literally just had in my mind that I'm blanking on that initially started this conversation or this point, but I can't think of it. Oh, Animal Crossing because of the fossils. Uh, it's incredible. I can't wait for you to play this game. Um, we should be doing a review for it within a couple weeks probably, and we'll probably have Ryan on from Super Smash Cast. Uh, and to quickly segue into that, we have not been making traditional episodes of Casket Minds, but the last couple weeks we have been on Super Smash Cast. We did a crossover episode, which isn't a traditional Casket Minds episode, but it still went up in our feed. Uh, it is our review of the Nintendo Switch 2, and I was on, just me, on the Super Smash Cast talking about the original Metroid, which was a grand old time. So if you haven't subscribed to the Super Smash Cast yet, go over there, give Ryan some love. It's a great pod. Drew and I have been on it several times. We'll
Yep,
continue to be on it several times. It's amazing.
for sure.
Uh, but until then, Drewby, let me know what you've been playing.
What have I been playing? Honestly, I haven't really been playing any single player stuff lately. Um, I was playing a good amount of Death Stranding. I'm probably in chapter 6 or 7. I believe there's 14 chapters. So I'm about like at the halfway mark. But I haven't played that in like a few weeks now. So I'm kind of slacking with that. But the reason why I haven't is because we've had a heck of a lot of fun playing a lot of multiplayer games lately. So our friend Jimmy Jam, the Walker, Texas Ranger man, also Jimmy Giraffe. He's got multiple names. um, we do like a weekly game night with him and another one of our friends, and who will not be mentioned. No, I'm just kidding. um, no, but we do a game night like about once a week, and we play different like multiplayer co-op stuff. So we've been playing some Phasmophobia, which has been a grand old time, and they just had a new update recently that made it even scarier. So that's super sick. And then we have been playing some Dead by Daylight without Jimmy Jam because he's not epic like us.
True.
So that's been pretty fun. And then we get some Fortnite in, which has been great. This season's awesome, and they released this new mode called Blitz. Best thing they've ever released, honestly. Play that on zero build. The games are so quick. You find matches instantly. It's just like nonstop fun. Only 32 players, small map, and then you spawn with like random items, and you also get like things called boons, which are basically just passive abilities throughout the matches. So that's freaking awesome and epic because it's literally epic games.
That's
And
true.
then Mitch and I have been playing a lot of rematch, and I'm wearing a Manchester United hat right now, and I'm not like the craziest, biggest, super like sports fan of all time, like Mitchy Man is. But let me tell you what, I do enjoy me some footy, and this game is incredible. One of the best multiplayer games I've played in a long while. There's still a few things that they need to work out to just make it run a little bit smoother. There's a little bit of latency stuff sometimes, especially when you're goalkeeping. Uh, but few bugs aside, it plays fantastic. The skill gap is great. It's very accessible, but at the same time, if you put a lot of effort into it and like learn the game's mechanics and implement some like real life like football strategies, you can absolutely dominate. And so Mitch and I just played a ton of ranked on that. I'm like close to gold one now. So I'm making my way through the ranks, and Mitchy Man is just a little bit behind me. So yeah, it's been a ton of fun. So that's kind of like been my gaming time since we last recorded an episode. I've just been playing a ton of multiplayer stuff.
Not only that, Drewby, but we've also gotten back into Siege with Siege X. Uh,
Yes, that's true.
we have been playing a ton of multiplayer stuff. Donkey Kong Bonanza is a very fresh experience. So I don't want to mislead anyone, but we have been doing nothing but like multiplayer stuff. Uh, again, we've been playing Dead by Daylight, Fortnite Blitz Royale, which I saw today might actually be a permanent mode, and God, I hope it is.
Yeah.
I love the big map. I love zero build. That completely changed the game in my opinion. It got me back on board with Fortnite after the sweats kind of destroyed that game. My brain just can't comprehend building like that. Like it just can't.
Yeah.
So Fortnite lost me just a couple years in, and Zero Build has brung me back in, and Blitz Royale has like completely taken over my mind because it's so bite sized. It's 5 minute games. You're in and out. Sometimes it's under 5 minutes. Drew and I have finished games in like 2.5 minutes. If the other people are as aggressive as we are, the
Yeah.
games are so quick. But it's so much fun. We're really enjoying that. Dead by Daylight is a new adventure for us, or at least returning from an old adventure to a new adventure with new friends. And it's very fun. It's one of those like squeal moments when we're all like when we have 3 or 4 survivors and obviously going against a killer and just like trying to coordinate things, but they're like on our ass and they're like they're on our ass. It's so much fun. Dead by Daylight is such a fun game. Uh, and rematch, oh my god. So if you're listening to this on your podcast services and not watching, I was pointing to my kit that I'm wearing. I'm wearing a PSG kit right now, although I am a Man United fan. But above, well, not above that, but I'm also a Leo Messi stan, so that's why I'm wearing this PSG kit. Uh, sports, uh, unfortunately and fortunately, because they ruin my life, take up so much of my time because I watch almost every sport. It's insane. And also, happy Man United Day in the terms of getting Brian and Bumo over the line. Officially a
Yes,
Manchester
sir.
United player. Here we go. But anyway, we won't bore you with footy talk, but you should go play Rematch. It's for everyone. It's not just football fans, soccer fans. It's like Rocket League in terms of like you can still have fun without knowing sports or caring about sports, but if you do, it enhances the experience for sure.
Oh yeah.
All right, Drew Breen, we're leaving housekeeping. We're getting into the topic of the show: video games during the summer and everything that entails. First up, Summer Game Fest. Drewby, it's been a couple weeks now since we've experienced Summer Game Fest. So, give me what you think about this year's and compare it to previous years if you can.
Yeah, so um I've got like the previous years kind of mixed up in my mind. I do remember last year's was not great. So I'll say, and then I want to say like maybe 2023 was like a great year if I'm
Hmm.
remembering correctly.
Yeah,
So I'll compare it off of those two because I feel like 2022, 2023 is kind of when Summer Game Fest like really started kicking into full gear. Because it started off as just like a virtual event. And now it's like in person, just like E3 and the Game Awards are. So I'll just compare it off of 2023 and 2024. Um, I think 2023 it's still the best Summer Game Fest that we've had so far.
agreed.
Um, that being said, this was a massive step up from 2024's. If you go and watch 2024, there were not a lot of like interesting games, and also just the way that the showcase was presented. I thought the presentation wasn't great either. Um, I remember there being a lot of advertisements. There was a lot of games that just didn't look super interesting, and the pacing was really weird too. Um, they definitely improved that this year. I think honestly, the pacing is almost a bit too fast this year. Because I remember they were like, "Yep, we've got this game. Okay, we've got this game. We got this game. We got this game," and there was like no like room to breathe in between the reveals, aside from like a few here and there. So maybe if they tone that back, just dial it a tiny, tiny bit. And I think you'll have the pacing at like a really good speed. Um, and then surprisingly, I'd say like about halfway through wasn't as much of a lull as most of these showcases usually are. There was some like pretty good stuff that were like sprinkled throughout the entire showcase. So I really appreciated that. Um, I'd say in terms of hype level, there was stuff that got me really, really excited. And then there's a lot of stuff that like, not as exciting with like a few games that I like just literally don't care about. Um, but I'd say overall, one of the compliments that I can give this showcase is that there were a lot of games here that I was like, yeah, I'd play that. Maybe it wouldn't be like a day one purchase for me, or I'd like wait for like Game Pass or something like that, right? But there's a lot of games here that they showed off this year where I was like, I'd play that. I think that would be like a neat game to play. Um, and then there's a lot of really cool like indie games that they revealed that um we'll talk about. But I think like overall this was a good showcase. Definitely not, on the level of the best of E3s. Definitely not on the same level of Summer Game Fest 2023. Um, but I still had fun watching it. So I think that's, that and then getting excited for games coming out in like the next year or two. I think those are the most important things. So I'd say like overall it was like a win. It just wasn't, on like a gargantuan scale, because I really thought that this year they'd go fully swinging with Summer Game Fest. And I was wrong. I mean, like even like some of my predictions were, I think like we both had some predictions that were like, yeah, I think they're gonna go big this year, and they did with some things, but not on the level that we were expecting.
I guess that Half-Life 3 would close the show and we got a Resident Evil 9 unveiling,
Yeah,
which
I'm okay
for
with
us,
the
dude, we marked out for Resident Evil 9. But on the scale of Half-Life 3, it's not even comparable.
no.
To be completely fair and honest. But yeah, I think that you hit a couple nails right on the heads. And sometimes you hit your finger. No, I'm just kidding. I agree with you for sure. 2023 is when we got the announcement of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is massive. And then 2024, Jeff had to come out before the showcase and was like, "Hey guys, tamper expectations. Like this isn't going to be banger after banger after banger." And this year is unfortunately another notch in the bedpost of like we don't know what to fully expect from Summer Game Fest as a showcase.
Yeah.
Like the from year to year, it's so different in terms of both quality and content there. I feel like this year's show itself was good. I feel like the pacing was probably better than most of the games shown, which is kind of unfortunate. But at the
Yeah.
same time, it's like there was so many games there that there's just not enough time in your life to play all these games just at this one showcase.
Yeah.
Um, so as every year, I jot down every game slash segue that they do just for my own notes and purposes because I love making lists. But for Summer Game Fest this year, I have 57 items written down, and that doesn't include the games that are shown in the ad breaks. Like 53 was I called it sizzle reel to pay the bills. And that's exactly what it is. It's your mobile games, it's your anime games, it's all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of crazy to me. We're gonna do it a little different this year than we traditionally do. We're not gonna run game by game. Instead, we're gonna take out a chunk of games that we purposefully want to talk about instead of just being like, "Hey guys, like this isn't a game that we care about." Like for instance, they showed an update for Guild Wars 2, and in parentheses back then, I put "We do not care," and that's the truth. Like Guild Wars 2 is a very very good game, but there's also a lot of good stuff here that maybe you do care about. But if you care about it, then by the time you're listening to this episode and getting to our review, there's a good chance you either know about this existing or if you care enough about listening to a podcast about a showcase, you probably already know what it is, right?
Yeah.
We're not here to sell you on all these games, but there is a bunch of good stuff there. Like we're not going to talk about Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, but that looks like a very fun kart racer. Like
It
with
does.
Mario Kart World coming out and disappointing a lot of folks this year, like that could be their kart fix if you like Sonic, which a lot of people do. But Drewby, we talked about this beforehand, and we wanted to highlight, a handful of games as such. And I'm going to go in chronological order just because it was easier for me to compile a list on top of a list.
Yeah.
So the first game, I guess games to talk about is Atomic Heart 2. This game got a sequel, and that's weird. And it looks incredible, just like the first one did.
Not just a sequel, but a sequel that's coming out what, like 2 years since the first one. Um
Hmm. Two
and
and a
this
half,
looks
maybe.
yeah, it's a very short time frame. And this looks like, a sequel that you'd get 5 or 6 years later compared to the
Yes,
first game.
it's actually impressive how like visually stunning this game looks. This is one of those games that like you look at and it's like this actually is a step up from the last one. And in this generation of games and where we are with technology and visual fidelity, uh, it's not always like that. So Atomic Heart, the original, came out in February of 2023. There's currently no release date for Atomic Heart 2, so it could be a 3 year like release window to window. But even then, that's impressive for a full-on sequel.
For sure.
And not only that, but if I'm not mistaken, Atomic Heart was not a short game. 16 hours to beat. The completionist is 37 and a half, or 36 and a half, rather. My apologies. According to howlongtobeat.com, I promise that is safe for work. Um, it's a great website if you want to know how long video games take to beat. Jerry, stop smiling like that. It, I always feel like self-conscious when I'm in public and I Google howlongtobeat.com and it's
Yeah.
actually matter of fact, IGN owns it now. So trust me guys, I wouldn't bait you. um,
Nice.
but on top of that,
7 out of 10, too long to beat.
true, too much water.
Yeah. Oh man.
They announced another game, Drew, called The Cube, which is an MMORPG that's in the Atomic Heart universe. which looks awesome. I
Yeah.
don't understand what Mundfish is doing. Who is funding Mundfish? Like, this looks awesome, and it
Not
makes me
just
want to
who's
go
funding
play.
Munfish, but like also, do they have like, I don't know, 5,000 employees or something like this? Like, how are they cranking all of this out in such a short amount of time? I'm sure like the Cube or like the MMO game that could have been in development for a long time, but to come out with you know a sequel that looks like a massive step up and also just like a massive game in general from the first, and in like a 2.5 year time frame, and then also come out with an MMORPG like shortly like following it. That's insane to me. Like I just don't understand how this this studio just kind of came out of nowhere and they're like, by the way, we've got a billion massive games on the way that look awesome.
Drewby, if you had to guess how many employees roughly worked at Mundfish, what would your number be? What range would you put it?
I'd say like probably 500.
All right, so according to a quick Google search, now keep in mind this is very vague. Between the AI overview, between LinkedIn and something called Zoom Info, they're between 141 to 190 employees at this studio, and they've cranked out virtually 3 games in maybe 5 years.
That's insane.
Now, keep in mind that like they can reuse assets and stuff like that. Like, obviously, that's becoming more and more popular because video games cost an astronomical number these days. Uh, but it's not just the same assets. Like Atomic Heart 2 visually looks better than Atomic Heart 1. And that's a 2 year old game, 2.5 year old game now. And it's like whatever they're doing over there, it's working.
Yeah.
And
A lot of new
this
game
is
mechanics too. Like the
it,
movement looks insane. There's like wall running and like all kinds of like crazy stuff.
I'm looking forward to this one, to be quite honest. It makes me want to get Atomic Heart 1 and
Yeah,
get into this universe because the cube could be something that you and I could be really invested in if they do this right.
for sure. For sure.
Drewby, speaking of doing this right, I don't know what the hell this game is because it doesn't look real, which is ironic because this is probably the most photorealistic thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Felt That Boxing is a video game about Muppets and boxing. It's like Punch Out, but with Muppets. It's the most insane thing that I've seen in a very long time in anything, not even video game related. There's like a story to it, or at least the
Yeah.
trailer had a story to it, and it's freaky, absolutely freaky how stunning this video game looks.
Oh yeah. I was blown away by the trailer. I am a huge Muppets fan. I grew up with the Muppets. I love a lot of the Muppets movies. Muppet Christmas Carol is an all-timer Christmas movie for me. And so I immediately was into this trailer. It's also super funny, so that's a
It
huge
is.
plus. Um, I think the premise is bananas. It is just insane. So yeah, it feels like a game that isn't real because of the way it looks and also because of how insane the premise is.
Yeah.
But I love it. I'm all for it. This is like a super original looking game, and I love me some original games. So I'm really excited for this one. This one was like high on my list for like hype levels, just because I'm like, man, I've never seen anything like this before in a video game. So I'm fully sold.
I'm curious the logistics of it. Like, it kind of looks like a VR game or like a Wii Sports kind of thing, but like amped up with like a budget and Muppets and like again photorealism. It looks like if you were boxing a Muppet, like if a Muppet was filmed towards you wanting to box you on your television screen, that's what it looks like. And it's insane. Um, yeah, I have no idea how well this game will do. or if it'll do, but it's one of the most unique things in this space, and
Yeah,
honestly, they get a slow clap for that.
they do.
Um,
So I'm looking at the Steam page right now,
uh-huh.
and it says it blends tactile, physics-driven combat with responsive controls for satisfying skill-based brawling experience. Players train, punch, block, dodge, and flail their way through a series of increasingly elaborate arenas. Your first bouts may take place in an after-hours illegal cockfighting ring, but in success, prepare to pack some stadiums. Arcade-style brawling, training mini games, in stitches super moves, with finishing attacks like furry flurry, and poop it blaster, um, and chaos mode, like shaking a ragdoll, unleash a flurry of flailing puppet punches. The story mode is approximately going to be 8 to 12 hours. You take control over Fuzz E's heartfelt journey across a tournament bracket filled with eccentric opponents, each with unique arenas, mechanics, and story arcs. And there's going to be a lot of unlockables, including costumes, hype music, special taunts, and dances. Um, yeah, this this just it sounds insane. Like we said, like it just doesn't sound like a game that's real. But I love that it exists.
Yeah, see, I expected it to be like half of all of that. So the fact that this is like a fully fledged experience is quite literally insane. This
Yeah.
is like, this reminds me, I don't know if you ever played this, but I grew up watching boxing. So, the Fight Night games from EA,
Oh yeah, I played those.
and they used to have story modes in them. And I'm
Yeah.
like, the fact that I might be getting to relive a Fight Night fantasy in the modern day, thank God that we don't have one now because Jake Paul would probably be on the cover of it.
Oh man.
Uh, but to get to have a boxing game with Muppets in it, and I get to like do everything I did as a child. That sounds incredible. And honestly, it probably should have been the other way around. I should have had filled out boxing when I was a kid and Fight Night now, but whatever. Dead
Also,
sport,
one more
sadly.
tidbit that I want to say on the Steam page, they do have a mature content description. Um, so they said the game contains stylized violence in the form of cartoonish boxing matches. It includes some mild to moderate profanity and explores adult themes such as death and abandonment through a darkly comedic lens. There will be sensitive topics like adoption and orphanage life, presented in a satirical humor that may not be suitable for all players. While there's no sexual content or graphic depictions of violence, the tone and subject matter may be considered mature. That's crazy, man.
We're about to get like a Rocky arc for Muppets, and it's gonna be
Yeah.
incredible.
Oh
I
yeah.
cannot wait for this. Holy shit. I can't believe it's that uh what's the word I'm looking for? That in depth, I guess. Like the fact that someone had this creative vision and then made it possible and made it look this good,
Oh yeah.
I can't believe it. It's mind blowing.
Seriously. And this is, I believe, the developer team's first game. So, um, crazy, crazy stuff.
Well, they came out swinging, that's for sure.
They did.
Jimmy, let me tell you something about coming out swinging. Uh, I was able to play a demo from this game. It's called Mio Memories in Orbit. Uh, it is a Metroidvania with a really unique art style, and Jim's gonna hate listening to this because it's a 2D platformer and with a great art style. It's a Metroidvania that has really cool combat. It's the combat's reminiscent of Hollow Knight. Um, the art style is not quite like any other game, in my opinion. It's kind of like it's not hand drawn necessarily because I don't want to paint it in a different picture, but like it feels like the color of paper was like the color palette for this. Um, it's really good. There's I think the demo is out on Steam now, but it's incredible. I can't recommend this enough, especially if you like Metroidvanias. Um, you get to go through the opening sections of the video game, and I can't stop thinking about it because I talked about this on the Super Smash Cast. So if you listen to both, I apologize. But Metroidvania is probably one of my favorite genres, probably my favorite genre. Um, and this game currently is living rent free in my mind. I can't stop thinking about it. On almost every level, it works so well. And it's also giving you so many tools at the beginning that it leaves you wanting more. And something that I can akin that to is last year, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, which was one of my favorite games of last year, which is another Metroidvania. And unfortunately, that studio closed down because no one supported that game.
A shame.
Whatever. Incredible game. Still pick it up and play it. Show Ubisoft that you want to play games like that and not the Assassin's Creeds and Far Cry's, which I still love, but also support
Yeah.
smaller things. Otherwise, they will disappear. That's all you get. And maybe that's what you deserve, audience. Anyways, this game is really good. I actually don't know how much it's going to be. There is no release date currently. I think it was announced last year, but I think it's slated for this year. Um, I've reached out to them to see if I can get a confirmation on that, but no, I haven't heard back yet. But that's a game that I'm championing. It's a really strong game. I'm gonna bully Drewby into playing it, as I tried to bully everyone to play Ori and the Blind Forest, which half of my friend group has played Ori and the Blind Forest at least. I don't think Drewby has finished it yet, but
I finished the first Ori, but
oh,
I haven't
God
finished the
bless.
second one though. Yeah.
Will of the Wisp is so good, dude. Oh my gosh, that's one of the most beautiful games ever made. Have you? Do you have any thoughts on Mio? Did you get to play it at all or no?
I haven't played it yet, no. So, but just based on your recommendation, I definitely want to try out the demo for sure.
Good. Before you get off today, I'm gonna make you download that demo because I think it's real small. Moving on to small things in the context of what we're talking about here. Liza P Overture DLC. This was one of my predictions, by the way, that it would be out then today, as in back then, because we're not there yet, or we're past that. So yeah, it doesn't make sense. Whatever. Liza P Overture DLC is out. It supposedly is phenomenal. I bought Liza P on sale because there was obviously the summer sales for everything. So I bought Liza P. I played about an hour or two of it. I'm really, really enjoying it, but I'm just not in that Soulsborne mood right now. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's not gonna get played anytime soon. But I'm usually there when it comes to fall time. I usually want to punish myself, play some survival horror, play some Soulsborne, get real mad. So uh, it's on the docket for sure. I love everything about Liza P though, like from like the gameplay to the art direction to the music to even the story. Like having it be like a Pinocchio tale is so cool. Having like decisions in that game and like dialogue matter is really cool.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to playing it again, but unfortunately, Donkey Kong Bonanza has my banana shaped heart right now. So, uh, Derby, what's your history with Liza P if there is one?
My history is I played a bit of the demo back whenever the game was first like announced. Because I remember when they had like the reveal trailer for it, they were like, "Hey, demo's coming out day one." So I remember I like went and downloaded that, played it for a bit, really liked what I played and saw of it. But I'm also with you, like I have to be in the right mindset and mood to play a Soulsborne kind of game. But I remember being floored by the reception of the game. Everyone absolutely loved it when it released. And then hearing, that the DLC is also fantastic, um, definitely like wants me to play the game even more now. I don't know when the heck I'm gonna play it, but I really do want to.
All right, Liza P Overture on OpenCritic is an 85, which is very good for a DLC. DLCs
Yeah.
traditionally are not reviewed as high, but from people that I know have played it and trust that played it, they would give it much higher than that because they said that it's probably the best thing they've played all year. Kind of akin to Shadow of the Erd Tree last year, where that game came out or DLC came out, and everyone was like, "Well, this is better than most games that I played."
Yeah.
Also, I'm noticing now there's a in the Liza P Overture key art. There is a am I gonna say that right? What's the what's this little feller's name? It's not Melania. What is it?
Oh man.
I feel like I have Melania Trump stuck in my mind right now, and I don't know why.
Oh man.
It's I don't think that's it.
No,
Um,
I
is it?
I think it might be Melania. Yeah.
I think it might be as well, but I didn't want to say it and look stupid, but now I already look stupid, so whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's very close to that art style. But anyways, Liza P is cool. You should play it if you like Soulsborns. And that's kind of the theme of this Summer Game Fest. A bunch of our friends were complaining. They were like, there's too many Soulsborns even in this showcase. And I'm like, I didn't feel that way, but at the same time, like I'm the audience for that, so maybe that's the problem, is that
Yeah.
I like them a lot. It's one of my favorite genres as well, probably behind Metroidvanias. Um, I just can't play a bunch of them back to back because
No.
going from like so weak to so strong and then having to go back to a different game with like new mechanics, not as much polish or too much polish or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's crazy, Drewby. But speaking of polish, Drewby, Yacht Club Games. Mina the Hollower finally has a release date, October 31st, which is a great release date for this because I love that time of year. I love this game. I got to play this game. There is a demo on Steam. It gets you through the first boss, and it's really good. It makes you think in a lot of ways. It's tough, which is Yacht Club's not specialty, but it's definitely a caveat of their video games. It's very polished. It's very good. I can't wait for more. Um, what are your thoughts on Midnight Follower?
I think it looks great. I know that Yacht Club is like highly respected. I haven't really like played any of their games though.
Not even Shovel Knight?
So I actually have played a bit of Shovel Knight, but not enough to like say like, oh, I absolutely love this game. I've
Okay,
owned it for years. I actually do really need to play it.
it's a great
But
game.
I think Mina the Hollower looks phenomenal. It's got like the classic, like Zelda kind of gameplay style where it's like
Mhm.
over the top. And I'm all about that because A Link to the Past is my favorite Zelda game. I grew up playing that on the Super Nintendo. So um, this definitely looks like one of those indie games that's just right up my alley. And just with the like hype around it, knowing Yacht Club's track record, like this is like one of those indie games where it's like, yeah, this will be a day one purchase for me for sure.
Luckily, that's not too far away, Drewby. But
Indeed.
if you want something even closer than that, let me introduce you to something called Dying Light: The Beast. This game looks incredible. It's following the characters slash the events of the first game. Drewby and I are going to replay the first game prior to the Beast. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Dying Light is one of my favorite games ever, and maybe just not from like a gameplay perspective, but I remember I think I was in high school at the time. Dead Island came out, and that was a new game, and my friends and I played it, and we really loved it. And then Dead Island 2 just never came. They did like a half step, and then Dying Light came out in like 2015, I think. 2014, no, 2015 for sure. This was my first platinum trophy, and I'm over 50 now, towards 60. My platinum trophy game or my trophy hunting days are mostly behind me, but this is my first one because I fell in love with it. I put over 100 and something hours into it, which the platinum doesn't require, but I just loved being in that world.
Yeah.
Uh, Dying Light 2 was a massive shitter. Drew and I got at it at launch and tried to play with a couple of my buddies, and you couldn't even connect together. Like three of us or three people were in the lobby. We could never get the fourth. When we got the fourth, finally, it would kick two of the players, and then
Yeah.
it was so buggy and laggy you couldn't do anything about it. Um, I know that they fixed that since then, um, but with the already like meh reception to it. It doesn't really give me an incentive to go back, and apparently it's not super connected to the first one. So it's like,
Yeah.
is there an incentive to go back? Should I just play the first one that I know that I love and then get ready for the Beast? What's your excitement level for Dying Light the Beast?
I think it looks fantastic. I also love the first game. I'm pretty sure I played through the DLC, like the big expansion that they did.
Hmm.
Um,
The following, whatever.
yeah, I can't remember if I finished that or not, but I loved playing the game. I never played it at launch. I picked it up actually, I think when the following came out, and got it like in a bundle for like a good price. Um, but yeah, I'm such a fan of like Mirror's Edge. I
Hmm.
love like parkour in games, whether it's Assassin's Creed or like Titanfall and stuff like that. So anything that's got wall running or jumping on top of people and being able to like traverse like massive rooftops and stuff, that's my jam. I'm a huge fan of it, and I also love zombies and I love zombie games, and so Dying Light marrying all of those things that I absolutely love in games and like other media. Uh, it was just a blast to play. Also, the volatile, like the PvP mode that they had, where it's like, the volatiles hunt at night, but there can actually be like player controlled ones that hunt you at night. That was one of the coolest game features that they had back in the day. It just made the game feel even more terrifying because it's like, okay, well, if you know how to, traverse and get away from like an NPC one, it felt even more difficult when you had an actual player controlling one, unless they're
Hmm.
just like absolutely trash at playing the game. But like it just added like a level of, I don't like, it just made it feel more like a sandbox, I guess, because it's like, oh, this doesn't feel scripted. This feels a little bit more like, random, and like you don't know how the player is going to play. So there's just like that uncertainty to it kind of adds into the horror elements of the game. Um, so yeah, I was a huge fan of it. You're not going to get the most incredible writing from for this game, but in terms of gameplay, it's top tier, and it's got a really cool visual style. So yeah, I was a huge fan of the first game. I think this one looks really cool. I like that it's kind of like an in between of the first and the second game. I heard there's like some things that are gonna like lead into the second game, supposedly. So I don't know. I think it'll be like a good way of like playing the first, then going to that, and then playing the second game. Um, but yeah, I'm excited. I also watched, they had like a, I don't know, 30-minute gameplay reveal, and I watched that and it looks awesome. And I did see a couple like Dying Light YouTubers give reactions. They got to play the game early. Um, and overall, it seemed like they had like pretty good things to say about it, but there's a couple of like areas of concern that they had. I think one of them being that the ragdolls like and physics and stuff for the zombies didn't feel as good as they felt in the first game and in the second game. So they're like, hopefully that's something that they'll iron out before the game launches. Because it does take away the element of like immersiveness.
Hmm.
But it seemed like overall they said like a lot of like good things about it. There was just like a couple of areas where they're like, you know, they still have a few months. Hopefully these are things that they'll improve a bit. Um, but I'm kind of expecting it to be like how the other games have been for Dying Light, where it's like, it reviews well, but you're not going to get like 9s out of 10s from a lot of people. And that's okay because, ultimately those games are meant to be like played with your friends and to have fun. And the first game absolutely nails that.
Yeah, the first game definitely nailed that. Two, not so much, but I have hope for the Beast. It visually it looks really good. It
Yeah.
looks like a current game. And speaking of that, the first game got retouched, is what they're calling it, is retouched update, and it's a modernization of the first one for free. It's not a charge, but it's also probably not going to be, you know, actual 2025 expectations. They're just retouching the assets of the game. Uh, but anyway, anytime that a developer does something for you for free, you should give a thumbs up because they could literally charge you $10
Yeah.
just for an upgrade for that. So,
Yeah.
um, Techland, good guy. We appreciate that.
And that's
Uh,
one thing that I do want to say about them real quick before we transition into the next topic. But like Techland, they support the crap out of their games. Like even Dying
mhm.
Light 2, they fixed it and they added a lot of content, a lot of free content. They did that with the first game. So I really appreciate their dedication. The fact that they even retouched the first game this many years
Yeah,
after its launch is kind of impressive. And they didn't charge $50 for it. So good guy, Techland.
it is. I really like Techland. I respect those guys a lot. I love their games. The following was a really cool DLC, and it is 2015 for the release date because it's their 10th year anniversary for the original Dying Light, which is
Yeah.
insane to say. We're getting old, but I digress. Speaking of things that aren't getting old, though, Drewby, Stranger Than Heaven, formerly Project Century from RGG Studios, the developers of Yakuza, Like a Dragon, and their spin-offs, have a new IP. This looks insanely cool.
Yeah, it does.
Earliest 20th century Japan, I think 1915 and 1943, if I'm not mistaken, on those timestamps.
That sounds about
Um,
right.
the combat looks so good. It looks like an actual thought out Yakuza, uh, which sounds like a dig at Yakuza, but it's not. But it looks way more intense than Yakuza. Yakuza to me feels more arcade style, whereas
Yeah.
this feels like brutal. Like he's chunking a crowbar into this dude's side, and it's like, ooh, I felt that. Like that's rough. It looks so cool though. I'm like really excited for this period piece.
Yeah, I am a huge sucker for games and movies, with period pieces. Um, and I think this is a really interesting time period specifically for um, like a Japanese setting. So I think this like has a lot of potential. I don't hate Yakuza, like so I just want to preface that before I say this.
Oh God.
But I think one of the things about Yakuza that I would prefer is if I could take it just a little bit more seriously, because the arcadey gameplay, it can be fun at times, but it's not like what I'd prefer from a game like that. Um, Shout out Sleeping Dogs for going like full on, like more realism, brutal like combat for that kind of like
Story and whatnot.
yeah. Um, so I'd prefer something more like along those lines. So I think Stranger Than Heaven has that, and then also just like tonally from like a storytelling perspective, it also seems to be taking itself a little bit more seriously too.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm fully into this. I remember when they had the first like reveal trailer when it was just called a project. I was like, man, this thing looks sick. I just want to know more about it. So I'm glad that we have a title now. I think the title is awesome. Just the overall visual style is incredible. The gameplay looks great. The setting and premise, I'm like fully sold on. So like I can't wait to get my hands on this game. It's definitely like near the top for like hype list for me for sure.
If I'm not mistaken, uh, Project Century was announced at the Game Awards.
That sounds about right.
It was last year's Game Awards. They announced Project Century, and then at the next Keighley event, which is Summer Game Festival, of course, Stranger Than Heaven was titled with more gameplay shown. So I imagine this game might be a little bit closer than we think it is too.
Yeah, I
Because
agree.
RGG pump out video games like they're freaking babies, dude. It's insane.
They do.
Every 9 months, it's a new game from them. And I'm like, how the hell?
Yeah.
Even reusing assets, I'm like, you created a story with like mocap, and I don't get it, man. You guys are champions. Props to RGG. They are one of the best to do it. So
Yeah.
impressive stuff. I mean, their mainline stuff is approaching the ninth entry. They've had more than a handful of spin-offs. Really cool stuff. It reminds me I need to go finish Yakuza 0. Uh,
Same.
God, what a game. Derby, wrapping up Summer Game Fest with the game of the show easily. Resident Evil 9 Requiem. I want to preface this with they brought on developers from Resident Evil to announce that they're going to be announcing something later, thanking people for the celebrating the anniversary.
They said later this summer too.
Yeah, and it's like, all right, so like, because this was very heavily, I guess, informant leaked. I don't know. It was an unkept secret for sure. That
Everyone thought it was going to be at the State of Play, and then that didn't
true.
happen. And then when we got to Summer Game Fest, and like early in the show, the developers come on, they're like, "Yeah, sorry, we're gonna be, showcasing later this summer for, the anniversary of Resident Evil. We've got something fun to show." And I was like, "There's no way they just did that."
Yeah, it felt like a low blow of like this
Yeah,
game's gonna be here, and well, if it's not there, it's gonna be here. It's not gonna be an Xbox because Xbox isn't partnered up with Resident Evil traditionally, and it's like that's you. It's rumored to be there, and that's what you give us. And then we get Resident Evil 9 Requiem, and it's one of the greatest trailers of all time, in my opinion.
yeah,
It's for me, it's like it was. I felt the way that I felt when Silent Hills, the Kojima game, the Kojima Silent Hills,
yeah,
got its trailer dropped, and the excitement that I felt for horror on this scale, telling a story like this, is impeccable. I couldn't have been happier with how this went. Um, I am pumped for this game. I'm even more pumped that it's in February of next year for fantasy critics purposes, and then I counterpicked you picking it.
yeah.
Uh, so it worked out great for us. But I am so pumped for this game. Uh, I need to go finish the series because I have to play 5, 6, and 8. But actually, I'm gonna buy the two Ashcroft games for PS2. And I'm thinking about playing them when Jimmy's here, but we'll see what time allows.
That'd be
Uh,
sick.
but yeah, this has put me in the Resident Evil mood, and unfortunately it's summer, so it's light and 100 degrees outside, so you're not really in a spooky vibe. But when it hits like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, I'm like, you know what? I want to play some Resident Evil.
Yeah, I remember when this trailer first started. Um, we were all kind of like, "What is this?" Because at first we were like, "Oh, is this Resident Evil?" But then we were like, "No, this feels like something different." It did like a really good job of like playing with your feelings and emotions, and like the visual style looked like RE Engine. So we were like,
Hmm.
okay. But then I just remember like I kept going back and forth. I'm like, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. And then once you get further along into the trailer, you see a newspaper and it mentions Raccoon City. And I remember you and I didn't even catch that. And then Jim was like, "It's Raccoon City," because we were watching it with James, and he just was like freaking out. um, and it was just like, man, what a crazy feeling. And then like the trailer keeps going along, and it shows a destroyed Raccoon City. You see the ruins, you see the RPD, and I don't know, man. Like I even thinking about it now, it's like I've got goosebumps. Like I was just like shocked. We all knew it was coming, but we didn't know what this game was going to be because there were so many conflicting leaks and rumors. Um, which maybe there's still some truth to them, and I'll talk about that in a second. But we just didn't know what this game was going to be. A lot of people thought it was going to be a third person, Resident Evil, bringing back Leon. And instead we've got Ashcroft's daughter. it's set after Resident Evil 8. And we're returning to Raccoon City, which I think is just amazing because we're like, by the time this game comes out, it'll have been 30 years since the original Resident Evil. So it only feels right to go back to Raccoon City. And then the horror vibe of this is awesome. Whatever that creature is that's in the hallways, I'm like, yeah, I might poop my pants while playing this game. So I'm fully into it. I think the trailer is fantastic. The sense of scale that it has is incredible because you've got the like tight corridors, but then you've got like this huge like open area of like the ruined Raccoon City. So I'm like, man, I feel like this game is gonna have, to me, what it feels like it's gonna have all of the elements of what fans love. You've got potentially like the huge like action sequences that you get in Resident Evil 4 or in some of the later games. But then you've also got like the tight corridors going through the classic like areas in Resident Evil with like heavy horror elements. It feels like a marriage of all the things that we know and love about Resident Evil. And I think that's what is getting me so excited about like that potential of like, okay, well, it's going to have something for every Resident Evil fan. Um, and there's so much mystery about what this story is going to be about too. And I like that. I like that I don't know what direction it's going to go in. Cause there's things that they like kind of tease in Resident Evil 9, but like in Resident Evil 8, but there, even with that, I'm like, I legit do not know where this is heading. And I love that feeling, because I like going into these games not knowing where it's going to go and, just have tons of twists and turns and surprises throughout. So I'm so hyped. This was a phenomenal, phenomenal trailer, an incredible way to end the showcase.
It is. It is, in my opinion, one like as good of a trailer as you can get, especially for the what it is, for what
Yeah.
Resident Evil 9 is, what it can be. Having You can play this game entirely in first person. You can play this game entirely in third person, um, which is insane because seven. I think seven did. I think seven finally got a third person mode, and then eight for sure got a third person mode.
Yeah.
But those were later things, like a few months after. Like it was clear they wanted you to play the game in first person.
Yeah.
Because the if I remember correctly, sevens was years, and then it was months for eight. So it was like they were cooking this. They knew what nine would eventually become, most likely. Um, this game is entirely playable in first and third, or you can play the. I believe they said the way that it should be played is that it's like there's like a recommended thing where like you play first person when you're supposed to, third person when you're supposed to. It's gonna be like it'll probably be one mode, probably called canon mode or some shit. Uh, that's how I'll be playing it first because
Yeah.
those corridors are gonna be insane in first person. There
Yeah.
is some legit like Silent Hills with an S, Kojima's
Yeah.
PT, uh, like vibes to that. And there's already some theories, and I won't leak or not leak, but I won't dive into them for people who don't want to know anything. But there's some teases of who that might be creeping around that hallway, and
Yes.
if it is,
If it is, I'm
that's
so in, man.
dude, that's gonna make my skin crawl, and it's
Yeah.
kind of crawling as I'm thinking about it right now. There's so much they can do. They're bringing in characters from spin-offs. They're bringing back characters, main characters. They're bringing back side characters. It's incredible what they're doing
Yeah.
and what they're fixing to give us.
And
Um,
there's also, I won't go into all the details just in case people want to save it for a surprise.
right.
But it's heavily speculated. This is the best way I'll put it. It's heavily speculated that there's gonna be another playable character,
Hmm.
and even in the behind the closed doors gameplay that all of the journalists and media, YouTubers, content creators, and stuff got
Yeah,
to see, the developers even like kind of tease that. I think we're just gonna be getting all timer with this one.
I cannot wait. It's something that I think about at least once a day. Of there's something in the trailer that'll draw me in, and I just think about it. And then I just go on a Resident Evil little grand adventure on a train in my head,
Yeah.
starting with zero, just start on that train and just keep on going. I'm so
Also, one
excited.
more thing that I really love about the trailer, the reveal of the title is awesome. I love the like grungy look. It looks like it's like going back to the vibe of the original games in terms of that. And it makes sense because it is set in Raccoon City. And even though, you know, it's set years and years later, I think there's going to be like a an element of the game where, you know, we're going to be kind of maybe potentially going back and forth between time periods,
Yeah,
or at least there's going to be a lot of like heavy like story elements that are going to be tied to the first game, or like the I guess the first three games is the better way to put it. But yeah, I'm so excited, man. And we don't have to wait long for it either,
nope.
which is
We
wild.
we're what, like 8 months away? Not even
Something like that. It comes out,
seven
was
months.
it February?
End of February. Yeah,
Yeah. So we're close, man.
so exciting. Yeah, I was marking out about that, like like the video package of them announcing Requiem as the name, and I was like, dude, that's absolute like Mitch perfection. Like if you could draw anything up, that's my shit.
Yeah.
It like that, like with the face, with the like the title package, that feels to me like a PS2 GameCube era like kind of game, and I'm like, that's perfect. Or you can even throw that on a PS1 cover, and I'm buying that thing like off the shelf back then.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, dude. But you won't have to wait long for us to hear us talk about Resident Evil, because I'm sure we'll be doing Resident Evil content leading up to Resident Evil 9, because Resident Evil 9 or Resident Evil is one of my favorite franchises that I've never finished.
Yeah. Same
Uh,
here.
but like the first four hold a very special place in my heart. Five, I rented back when renting movies was a thing, um, or renting games, I guess. Same thing. It was a movie rental place that had video games, to be honest. Uh, but yeah, I rented it, played it. Wasn't my thing because it wasn't Resident Evil 1, which I wanted to play, and so I just never rented it again. Then six was six, but then seven won me back. Incredible game. But again, you won't have to wait much longer to hear us talk about Resident Evil. So, Drewby, we're
Indeed.
going to switch gears. We're going into the Xbox Games Showcase. Give me your overall thoughts on the Xbox Showcase.
I don't really know how to feel about a lot of it. I'm going to be completely honest because last year's, again, we're gonna compare Xbox showcases. I feel like the last 2 years for Xbox showcases has been great, but last year's especially, man, what a treat we had with that. That was the first showcase that we've had in a long time that it really truly felt like E3.
Yo.
There were games that were announced that didn't even have a release date yet, didn't have a release window, and they were like, these are coming out, you know, they're on the horizon a few years from now. This is what the future of Xbox is going to look like. This is what you're going to get excited about. And like Perfect Dark, incredible gameplay reveal. So freaking fantastic. Which, by the way, was confirmed by developers that it was in-game footage. It was not pre-rendered. It was actual in-game footage. Maybe it wouldn't be one-to-one with what the game would look like, but it was in-game footage. That was incredible gameplay reveal. And then they ended the showcase with Gears of War E-Day, which that I was like, I was not expecting that. I was like, if Gears is coming back, we're gonna be getting like a Gear 6, which they said
Mhm.
is still on the way. Like they're making it, but they wanted to they had a story that they wanted to tell that takes place during E-Day. And I'm like, man, that was a phenomenal trailer. Um so and that's just like two out of a lot of things. We had Fable and like all kinds of other stuff. it was exciting, and I was like, man, the future is looking bright for Xbox. I can't wait. This showcase comes around, and don't get me wrong, there are some great looking games here. I I don't think this is a bad showcase by any means at all. I think I would be lying if I said that. So there's some fantastic stuff here, but it felt like two steps backwards compared to last year. It was really weird, and I at the time I was like, I don't know why they're doing this. This just doesn't feel right. Um, but you know, I don't know. There's games here that they showed that I'm excited for. But I was like, man, this is not what I wanted from Xbox Showcase this year. And they even Phil Spencer had the audacity to blue ball us and be like, hey, we've got Gears next year. We've got Fable next year. We've got Halo next year. And what do we not get to end the show? We don't get freaking Halo, man. Not even a tease or anything.
Wait,
But
did he say there was Halo next year?
yeah, he did.
Or was that the like the ambiguous thing there where he was like, and one more thing.
So he mentioned Halo Studios, and then he said, a franchise that has been with us since the beginning. So it's 100% Halo. Like, there's no way it isn't, unless it's just some random game that they're like, oh, hey, we're bringing this back.
I thought he was like obviously hinting at Halo. I didn't hear him say Halo Studios or whatnot, though. That's the only thing I didn't hear. I knew Fable and Gears, but I thought he was hinting at Halo, and they showed Call of Duty Black Ops 7, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, that didn't make any sense, because it's like going into that, because he wasn't talking about Call of Duty when he was talking about that. Like, I think it was just a thing of like, these are things that are coming out next year. But before we like kind of like take a deep dive into the Xbox showcase, Halo announced their Halo World Championship, which Halo Infinite World Championship, which is in October. Mm-hmm. And Halo Studios said that they're going to show us, they basically were like, there's been a lot of rumors, there's been a lot of things here and there online, but you're going to get the first scoops of all the things that we're working on for Halo, what you're going to be getting within the next year and moving forward, and like hints towards all of that. So we're presumably going to be getting our reveal for whatever the next Halo game is in October, and more. Everyone, seems to be pointing towards we're getting like a Halo remake, which would make sense because it will be, like a big like point for that. But yeah, it was just, I don't know. The Xbox showcase was weird to me. There's a lot that I liked about it, but it was disappointing for sure.
I love Xbox game showcases. This one was a little bit down from the last few years. I would agree. I think last year's was peak. I don't think that you can really get better than last year's, in my opinion. Unless next year they come out and show Gears, Halo, and Fable, which, I mean, and I will caveat, and I'll give you guys a little taste into what's next. Our next episode is going to be about the state of Xbox in 2025. There's a lot of things to talk about in Xbox, and that we can't fit that into this episode. We're going to strictly talk about the showcase here, because next week we're going to be talking about literally everything with Xbox. There is a lot of things brewing, unfortunately, at Xbox. And when I say brewing, I don't mean like coffee. I mean like shit. It's a shitstorm. There's a lot of good things that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to be very high on the showcase, but everything after the showcase has been absolute garbage, including things that have been announced even today. And the thing that I'm referencing today is that they've announced that they're going to stop selling like movies and TV shows on the Microsoft Store. which has already got people in a panic of like, are they going to take away everything that we've already bought? And it's like they said no, but eventually, and that's the thing. That's a whole wormhole of buy physical media because your games and your movies can't be taken away if you get physical media, which is another problem because Xbox doesn't put their games on physical disc anymore. They just put the DRM on it and call it a day, which pisses me off. But again, next episode we're going to talk about everything with Xbox. We'll air out grievances and whatnot. But as for my thoughts on the showcase, I love the showcase. I always do, or I shouldn't say always, but since like probably 2020, honestly, maybe even 2019, they've really nailed their Xbox showcases. The pacing, they just took the page out of PlayStation when PlayStation stopped doing E3 and just been like, hey, it's all about the games, always about games, 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 and it's great. I love it. I'm looking at the list, and besides the Xbox fodder things that have to be shown because it's live service stuff that you have to keep continuously updating for the fan base, which I understand, but it's not fun as someone who doesn't consume that.
Yeah.
Outside of that stuff, it's a great showing. I mean, a lot of third party stuff, but it should be things that Xbox fans should be excited about. Like you look at the bottom of like or towards the latest announcements, Final Fantasy VII remake coming, Final Fantasy 16 launched that day, like Shadow dropped.
Yeah.
Those are great things. But unfortunately, Microsoft just can't stop shooting themselves in the foot enough to, get excited about anything. Which again, it does. I guess the problem with recording a little bit later than we probably should have at least like right after is that I'm less high on it now, knowing some things. Like I know that the future of Xbox isn't as bright as this showcase even a month ago told us it was.
Yeah.
But for me, the showcase was an 8 out of 10. The pacing was good. The games shown were good. I'm a little let down that there wasn't enough release dates. Like they showed a fantastic trailer for Clockwork Revolution, and at the end of the trailer it said "in due time" instead of
Yeah.
like even a window or a year, and it's like you've
And
been
they showed
teasing
a
this
lot of the game. A lot of
a
the game.
lot of it.
Like I don't even need another gameplay trailer or anything now, I feel like.
No, I need a press
So
release telling me when it's coming out.
yeah, it
That's
just
all I
it
need.
doesn't make sense that we didn't get a release window at all.
And that worries me for a number of things and a number of reasons. And
Yeah.
I if if you don't want to wait, I guess until the next episode, I guess I'll just give you another little tease. Um, Microsoft fired like I believe it was 9,000 ish employees, which led to Drewby's heated thing a minute ago about Perfect Dark. He didn't say it, but what he was alluding to was that Perfect Dark and the Initiative have been closed down. That game's not coming. That studio no longer exists. Turn 10, who makes your Forza Motorsports, a cornerstone tentpole franchise for Microsoft, no longer exists. The team that made that no longer works at Microsoft. And if they do, they're on either Forza Horizon or they're a support studio. That is absolutely fucking criminal. And I can't
Yeah.
believe that Microsoft, a $1 trillion company, is cutting ties with its loyal, dedicated fan base. Forza Motorsport is a tentpole the same way that Gran Turismo is a tentpole for PlayStation. Those are games and franchises that span decades. And now the
And
studio,
those games, by the way, sell really well too. Like
yes,
Forza Motorsport is popular. Forza Horizon may be a little bit more popular now,
but it's
but
the new thing.
Motorsport, yeah, it's the new thing. And like Motorsport is still like it's still like such an important aspect of Xbox. So removing that, it's just insane.
Another thing that's insane to me is that, and again, we'll save some of this for the thing, but while we're on the topic, it's that Forza Horizon came in whenever Need for Speed died.
Yeah.
It took its place. Perfect. It did it great. Motorsport was competing with Gran Turismo, but Gran Turismo wasn't coming out as much as Forza Motorsport was. Forza was such a like for racing and racing sim things. It's such a huge franchise. And Microsoft effectively were like, we don't care. Oh, and by the way, Forza's going to PlayStation as well. And it's like, what are you fucking doing as a business? What like I don't understand. I understand it to an extent. And again, I'll try not to go too long, but like it's every 2 seconds. Like they do something so cool, and then they're like, nope, let's take a step back. It's like they're like edging themselves every time. They're
Yeah.
like always getting right there, and then they're just like, nope, you know what? We're not gonna do that, guys. Sorry. And it's so
And
baffling. But in terms of the showcase, in terms of games coming, they have a bunch of cool stuff, Derby. So I think we should hop into this Xbox showcase.
for sure.
Did you give it a rating or because
I
you
didn't
went
give it a rating. I
okay.
actually don't even think I gave Summer Game Fest a rating.
I don't think I
But
did
Summer
either.
Game Fest, that's probably, I'd say in terms of like presentation and everything, and it's still having a lot of games that I'm excited for. I'm gonna probably give it a 4. Um,
Ooh,
yeah,
out of
uh,
5?
a 4 out of 5. Yeah.
Okay.
um, I should have prefaced with that. Uh, and then the Xbox Showcase. Yeah, it's a 4 out of 10, man. It
I
was
was like,
paced
that's
well. It
low.
had some good stuff. No. Um, and then honestly, I think Xbox Showcase as well is going to be a 4 out of 5. Yeah, I'm disappointed with it. And yeah, the stuff that came out with the layoffs make me even less excited now. But I
Yeah,
still think it's a great showcase. Like
it was.
it was just disappointing coming from last year. Um,
Agreed.
but I don't think that's fair to say like, oh, well, it's a 3 out of 5 now. Um, but yeah, 4 out of 5 for the Xbox Showcase for me. But yeah, let's jump into the showcase.
Before we do, Derby, I didn't give it a rating. I'm glad that we brought this up. Summer Game Fest, I'll give like a 7.5. At worst, a 7. I was higher on it when we were closer, but revisiting it today, I was like, you know what? A lot of this I don't remember as well as I thought I did, and I don't care as much as I thought I did. But the internet was also completely shitting on it, like it was the worst thing of all time. And I'm like, far from that. What are we
No,
doing here?
yeah, like,
Um,
buddy, check out last year's.
and some people were like 2024 was much better, and I'm like, no, it wasn't. Like you're not remembering right. I promise you.
Yeah,
Even now, like being removed from both, I'm like, I can remember things that were announced at this one. I can't tell you what even closed last year, and I think it was. Oh yeah, I can. It was Phantom Blade Zero or whatever, a game that wasn't shown again this year during Summer Game Fest. So it's like, what are we doing? So I'll give like 7.75 for Summer Game Fest, 8 for Xbox Showcase. Let's get into it, Drewby. We open up with the Outer Worlds 2 trailer, something that we're getting a direct for right after, and it's it's a habit of Xbox to do this. It's annoying. Please stop doing this. We know that the Outer Worlds is coming right after it. It's in your marketing material. It's always in your marketing material. Please stop doing it. Then we go into High on Life 2, which looks insane. It looks a lot. Talk about a sequel that looks a lot better than the first one. High on Life 2. That shit looks crazy.
it
I
does.
played a little bit of the original, liked it a lot, didn't finish it. I want to finish it because High on Life 2 looks insane.
Yeah, I played actually a really good amount of the first one. It's a very fun game. Really like just fun little double A game. Really funny at times. And I really like the like platforming aspect of it. This
Mhm.
one is like take that, but then like put it in like GTA essentially. It's just
Yeah,
like
it's wild.
insane. Um, so yeah, that's wild. Also, um, not to touch on this too much because we don't need to, but it's interesting that they're
Mhm.
making a sequel for it with all of the stuff that went down with Justin Roiland. He's no longer a part of the studio. Um, so I'm really curious, and also he didn't really have much to do with the writing and stuff. I think he was more of just he was the
The
voice,
voice
and then
acting.
he was
Mhm.
also like a part of the game studio, but he didn't really like
Yeah.
have a lot of like hands-on with the development and writing. Um, so I guess there's not going to be like too much of a difference there, but I guess I just wanted to address the elephant in the room. Like
Yeah.
I'm I'm curious. Like honestly, I really hope they make some like jokes out of it in the game or something like that.
I can
Um,
guarantee they will.
yeah, but yeah, it's just interesting that they made a sequel for it with all of that like kind of muddy stuff from the first game. Um, but yeah, man, what a trailer this was. I
It was
wasn't
incredible.
expect I wasn't expecting it. That I think that's what like the coolest thing about it was, because if they announced a sequel for the game, I would be like, yeah, that's cool, I'll play it. But then they were like, yeah, this is a sequel but on steroids. So
Literally, like when obviously it's so easy to tell what this game is as soon as they show the gun, but like the gun, if you don't know what High on Life is, it's basically Rick and Morty humor, and literally with Justin obviously being a co-creator of Rick and Morty, it's that style of humor. Even the voice sounds like Morty a lot of the time.
yeah,
um I'm actually curious. I wonder if they replaced him with the same guy who now voices them in the show. That would be
that would be funny.
extremely petty and hilarious, but I
That
would I
would,
would I would thrive for that.
yeah,
Um anyways, High on Life 2 looks really cool. It's out this winter apparently, which is feels like a really quick turnaround for that size of studio.
for
And
sure.
I'm also right there with you. I'm surprised they went ahead and made a sequel to this, but honestly, it shows they got balls. Like
Yeah,
they're like, we don't need Justin in order to actually, put this game out, and
for sure.
good for them. Moving on, we're going to a new Plague Tale. It's called a Plague Tale Legacy Resonance. Did you play either of the Plague Tales? Because I played the first one for a little bit. I liked it, but it was clearly like it wasn't there yet. And I think that the next one got there, but I didn't play that.
Yeah, I played a good amount of the first one. Really love the premise. The story is great.
Hmm.
Also some beautiful music.
Yes.
But I never finished it because it is like one of those like, indie games that cool premise. The execution isn't like 100% perfect in terms of gameplay. I did also hear that the second game is a lot better in terms of gameplay, and I think the second game looks awesome. I just never got around to playing it because I didn't finish the first.
Yeah, same.
This trailer though, I was into this. I had no clue it was a Plague Tale until like much later in the trailer. And like even when they first showed the rats, I was like, this doesn't really look like Plague Tale. It looks very different. But I think in terms of the visuals and like the setting, this looks really freaking cool.
I agree. If you like a Plague Tales, you should check this one out. It's a same world, I would assume. It's a 2026 title, which we'll discover that that's a lot of games. We're getting a shit ton of games next year, y'all. Buckle
Yeah.
up. But something we're not getting next year, Drewby, and probably the heavy lifting of this showcase comes here. The Xbox ROG Ally slash X. We're getting two handhelds. They partnered up with ROG Ally Asus to make an Xbox branded version, as they've put their first party handheld on ice pretty much. Probably will never see the light of day again because it's Xbox. Um, but this is a cool little thing where it's gonna have an intuitive Xbox experience, and you can dual boot, and it's gonna have I think it's coming with Windows. I'm pretty sure you can dual boot with Linux. Steam is gonna come on it. It's gonna be a neat little handy little thing if you have $700 or $1,000, which is what these things are gonna cost. It's unofficial, but there are ROG allies, and ROG Ally X is already in the wild, and those are the price tag 700 and like 900 and 950. I believe it leaked in euros, and if it's correct, I think it's 750 for the base and like 1,000 or over 1,000 for the X, which is obviously a more powerful version.
Yeah.
And I know that people are definitely going to buy that, but it's also like for $1,000, just buy a PC at that point. For the settings you're
Exactly.
playing that on, just buy a PC. Unless you're an idiot like me who has a high end PC and will still want the stupid handheld
Yeah.
because he's stupid. Uh,
Or if you're like certain friends that we have that are rich.
yeah, seriously. Or
Yeah.
Jay, who primarily plays on a freaking Steam Deck anyway. What a guy.
What a guy.
He was playing Kingdom Come on like low settings. I'm like, brother, get that thing on a TV real quick. Get it on a
Man.
monitor real quick. You know what I mean? What are we doing here? To be fair, he does have the OLED Steam Deck, so it does look great. But
Yeah,
uh, I'm like, man, that game demands to look pretty.
for sure.
Speaking of games that look pretty, Drewby, and I don't want to segue away too much from this Xbox thing real quick. It is coming holiday 2025, by the way. If you're in the PC handheld market, this could be a Steam Deck competitor in terms of not price, but like in terms of what it can do. Having intuitive like Xbox design is really cool, and supposedly Xbox put their first party on held or on ice for them to create a more intuitive, more natural Windows 11 environment on a handheld, which supposedly I don't have a handheld in that form. At least I only have a Switch 2, which sounds like a woe is me. I have a Switch 2, but it's not. But apparently the Windows 11 portion is not great, like on handhelds. So I welcome them icing it for that reason, but I don't think it'll ever come off ice. I don't think we'll see a first party handheld, considering Asus is probably this isn't gonna sell great in my opinion. So
No.
unless they do like something that's like a mid tier, like a Switch level, like price wise, like $500 in their own thing, which they could do, but it's Xbox and you really can't predict what they're gonna do because they shoot themselves so much in the fucking foot. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Derby, speaking of shooting themselves in the foot, remember old 2 years ago when they were like, everything in this shit showcase is going to come out in the next 12 months? Well,
Yeah.
this game was in that sizzle reel, or in that showcase, not even a sizzle reel. It proceeded to be in a sizzle reel later, but Hollow Knight Silk Song was one of the games shown on the ROG Ally X Xbox version. And it was said that it was going to be coming, or you could play that day one when this launched. And this is slated for holiday. Silk Song is now slated for fall. We know that because, well, they told us. But before then, it was going to be playable in September at a museum in Australia. And I'm not making this up. This is factual information, unfortunately. And then with the Xbox ROG Ally X coming out in holiday, you could probably assume that this is going to come out between September and October, right?
Yeah.
No release date yet for a game that I'm still not convinced exists, but I cannot wait to play it. Nonetheless, Hollow Knight Silk Song is slated for fall 2025. Yep. Dribby, you believe that?
No, honestly.
All right, moving on.
Yep.
There was a game called The Blood of Dawnwalker. They got announced. I don't know what that is. I think it looked pretty cool, but nothing to write home about. IMO. So we're gonna move on to something that I'm gonna write home about, guys. Super Meat Boy 3D. I played a little bit of this game when it was like an arcade game on the Xbox. I remember my friend group really liked Super Meat Boy, and so I tried it and I was like, "This is hard." And I didn't want to play it, so I played Black Ops instead because this was around the same time as Black Ops 1, if I'm not mistaken. But they're making a 3D one, and it looks really freaking cool, and I'm really excited for it. This one's early 2026. Derby, what's your excitement level?
I'm pretty hyped for it. I also haven't played a huge amount of the first game, but I did play it. It was also one of those things of like when I was playing it back in the day, it's like this is too tough. But I love like the art style and the premise of it. I think this one looks absolutely fantastic. The only thing I'll say is make sure you're careful when you're typing in how long to beat Super Meat Boy 3D. Just make sure you're clicking on the right link. All right.
Yeah, I'm not going to recommend you do that. Keep
Man.
safe search on for that one.
Exactly.
Yeah, this game looks cool. Taking a 2D game and making it 3D is always kind of cool in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so I was very surprised when this popped up. I was actually pretty hyped about this.
Yeah.
Something that I'm not super hyped for, Drewby, and I'm interested to see if you are. Ninja Gaiden 4. Are you excited for that? Because like I played Black when 2 was shadow dropped, and they announced 4 at the developer direct and Xbox, which again is something Xbox does so fucking good every January is the developer directs. But
Yeah.
Um, I didn't finish Black when I started it. I didn't play Black 2, obviously, because I didn't finish the first one, which means that I would have to go through the series before 4 comes out, and that comes out October 21st, and that seems like very soon when there's too many other things I want to play. So, what are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
So yeah, I there's too many of those games that I'd have to play to be able to play this one. So I'm not gonna be like, playing it right away. Maybe I don't know. It is a Game Pass game though, right?
It is.
That is really cool. So maybe there's a way that I'll be able to play it. I'm actually pretty excited about this one.
Mm.
I think the gameplay looks fantastic. Platinum Games
Mhm.
has like perfected combat, like the hack and slash kind of combat. And it never feels repetitive. Like they've always like done a way to make it to where it's not just you like pressing X over and over and over again. There's always a way where they add a lot of depth to the combat. So I think from that perspective, it's really cool. Um, I think the like, sci-fi like neon like kind of setting is really cool too.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm curious how that's like juxtaposed with like the more traditional Ninja Gaiden like kind of setting with like the main character like coming back. They've like shown like these like two different like almost I'd say like clashing art styles in
Yeah,
my
agreed.
opinion. So there's a lot of like weird stuff about it, but I think like just from a combat perspective, like this looks fantastic. I think it'll at the very least be like a ton of fun to play. The only other thing I'm curious about, it seems like, and maybe it's just for like gameplay demo perspective, um, but it seems like the difficulty has been scaled back
Hmm.
from like the OG games, because I know the OG games are like tough. Like
They
everyone
are.
who plays them, they're like, yeah, this is like some of the hardest like games out here in terms of like hack and slash kind of games. So um I don't know. Like I just think like from a gameplay perspective, it's a game I want to play. I just don't know much about this game series because I haven't really like dived into them yet. But I know a lot of people who are super excited for it, and I'm glad it exists.
Yeah, me
And
too.
it's on Game Pass, so I'll be able to play it sometime.
Yeah, I'm glad Xbox approached them and was like, "Hey, let's do this together. Like, let's help you fund this. Let's help you create this. Let's get this out like off the ground."
Yeah.
Um, so for that reason alone, I'm happy for that. Um, if it's hype enough, maybe I'll just YouTube the story and then go play the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We'll figure it out. All right, let me take a deep breath here before I say this next one. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, The Order of Giants. That is one title with a semicolon in it, and it comes out September the 4th. And that is DLC for the Indiana Jones game that came out in December of last year. I still haven't beat that game. I still want to play that game. I haven't beaten that game. Will I beat that game? I don't know. We'll figure it out one day, won't we?
Yeah, you will figure that out one day. I hope you do play it at some point because it was one of my favorite games of last year. I had a phenomenal time playing it, and I think the story is really good. Um, and this is honestly the space that I want to see Indiana Jones in moving forward. Just like make this like a trilogy or something.
Okay.
Um, so I think, yeah, the game's fantastic. I'm super hyped for the DLC because I love the game so much, and I think that there's a really interesting story that they could tell with this. So I hope that the DLC feels as like fleshed out as the base game. I think that's like my only concern because I'm not like a huge person to like play a bunch of like expansions
Me either.
unless it's like very substantial. So like take Witcher 3 for example. Those expansions are like basically new games.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that every game needs to have it on like that like high of a scale. Um, but just give me a story and some new gameplay stuff that gets me like interested to come back. I definitely will be playing this when it comes out because I want to get back into this world. I had so much fun playing it.
Is DLC a part of Game Pass?
Not usually. I think there's been some in the past. I don't think they're doing it with this game, if I had to guess. But Game Pass does give you a discount on DLC and expansions and stuff like that. So um, there is that like added benefit.
How much is that? Do you know how much that DLC would be? Like $20?
I want to say the season pass was $20.
Okay, what comes
Yeah,
with the season? Is it just this expansion or
I think they're gonna do 2 expansions. Yeah,
okay? That worries me a smidge because usually if it's a $10 expansion, it's usually not that long.
yeah,
But at the same time, if it's like a 2 hour adventure, I would pay $10 for a 2 hour adventure.
for
But
sure.
like for $20, I'd want like 5 hours. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
give me a little open vertical space, maybe collectibles, something. I did play a few hours of this. I went on a trip to see a buddy of mine for his 30th birthday in December when this game came out, and we downloaded it and played it on his PC. We just took turns playing. And then when I got home, I had to replay those opening hours, and I was like, "Shit, I don't want to do this right now." And so I just didn't get back to it. But I really enjoyed it, and I love machine games.
yeah.
One of my first few platinums, since we were talking about the platinums earlier, was the Wolfenstein games. Wolfenstein, the Old Blood, and what's the first one? It's the Old Blood,
Oh
and
man,
then it's not the
I
New
can't
Order,
remember.
right? 'Cause
Yeah, the
that's the
New Order
second
is the
one.
sequel. I always forget what the first one's called.
Whatever it is, I got the platinum for both of those. I love those games.
Yeah,
I was also on a Bethesda kick back then. This was before Xbox bought them, I guess. But I got Doom 2016 Platinum as well. That was a tough one. Those like old games that got, repackaged and remade in like modern settings. So good. Wolfenstein can't recommend that game enough. Those games
yeah.
are phenomenal. Even story wise, I love those games.
Oh yeah.
Um, Bethesda is still making good stuff, thankfully, until Xbox closes them down. Oh, Xbox. Speaking of things that piss me off, Game Freak showed off their new game called Beast of Reincarnation, which looks great. Why the hell doesn't Pokemon look anything like this? I am a Game Freak defender until June 2025. I can no longer do it. What are you doing? You don't even got voice acting in your games, buddy. All right. I'm officially on the Game Freak hate train. What the fuck are we doing? Get some. I know Nintendo prints money for you. Just Pokemon prints money for you. I know Pokemon Company probably demands certain things, but I'm sick of it. I know it's a children's game. I don't care. More violence, more photorealism. I don't care. Give it to me. All right, pals. Thanks. Appreciate that. Drew, you got any thoughts about that?
I think this looks cool, and
It does look cool.
that's about it. Game Freak, get your act together on Pokemon.
That's also something I wouldn't recommend Googling. Save search off. Moving
True.
on. Clockwork Orange. Phenomenal trailer. This game looks epic. It
Clockwork
truly
Orange.
looks. Did I say Clockwork Orange?
Yeah, you did.
Clearly, I'm working on Clockwork Orange time, and my eyes are just pried open by my glasses. A Clockwork Revolution is what I meant to say. Whoa, if you haven't seen A Clockwork Orange, you should. Stanley Kubrick. Masterpiece. Fantastic movie. Love that movie. Uh, dude, don't get me on a tangent about Stanley Kubrick, dude. I was fortunate enough to see every one of his movies in theaters, even his Navy propaganda film, dude. Let's go. Anyways, this isn't the Stanley Kubrick podcast yet. This is a Clockwork Revolution podcast. This trailer looks phenomenal. And it pissed me off when it said in due time, as we talked about before. But man, this game looks cool. Is it always super original? Nope. But is it really, really cool mashup of things that they've already made and that I love? Abso-freaking-lutely it is.
Yeah.
It gives you some Bioshock vibes, more specifically, I guess, Infinite. Uh, it gives you some like Dishonored vibes at times, like the time and stuff. I'm like, man, this game
Some
looks really
RPG
cool.
elements in there too.
Yeah, I can't wait to play
Make your
this
own
game.
character. Like it's insane how much they're putting into this. I remember the first reveal trailer. I was like, yeah, this looks awesome. So
Mhm.
I'm glad that this thing still exists as of now,
Yeah.
supposedly. I hope that we do get to see it in due time, but I hope that due time is within the next year.
Yeah, this game better come out because so help me Jesus. If you cancel this game, I will cancel Xbox.
Yeah.
Drewby, give me a little meter here. Your excitement for Grounded 2 because we're actually under 2 weeks away from Grounded 2 being released.
Dude,
Grounded is something that I did not have on my radar when it came out. I'm an Obsidian lover, but that game did not look very cool to me, and it found an audience, and then people were like, "This is kind of cool," and I was like, "I disagree." And then Grounded 2 was like, "Here's a trailer, we exist," and I'm like, "Hey, that looks pretty cool," and we're on a multiplayer kick right now, which makes me
dude,
be
let me
like,
tell you
"Hey,
something
dude,
about that audience, all right? I was a
it's
part of
you."
that audience.
Yeah, I was gonna
I played
say.
it, and I played it with a couple of my friends whenever it first came out, when it was still in early access. So I haven't played, I played some of it after launch, but I didn't put nearly as many hours into it just because other games were coming out at the time.
Right.
Um, but I played a good amount of it when this first came out and some of its subsequent updates, and it's super fun. I am very picky when it comes to like the survival games like that, where you have to like build and you have to eat food and drink water and stuff like that. Um, and I think that the first Grounded struck the perfect balance between things. It didn't make it feel like, like a chore to do anything in it. The building aspect was very intuitive. Um, and so I was a huge fan of like actually building things in it. And then it just has a cool premise. Like it's Honey, I Shrunk the Kids in a video game, and that's fun. I hate bugs, so being able to fight them, pretty epic. It's got arachnophobia mode, so if you're scared of
Not epic.
spiders, but yeah, like even though it has like a cartoony look to it, I'll tell you what, dude, the spiders and some of the other bugs in it, like the really big ones, like are actually kind of terrifying just with the way that they have their like gameplay mechanics. Um, so it's just a really fun game to play with friends. And for that, I'm really excited for the second one because it seems like a big improvement on the first game. The first game is pretty simple, for better and worse. And I think the second game is kind of going to add some more depth to the gameplay. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's one of those games where it's just fun to play with friends. So
I think we can get into that game pretty early and enjoy that a lot.
for sure.
Even if it's for like 10 hours. I mean, it's on Game Pass, so it's like you jump
Yeah,
in, you get in and out. It's fine.
exactly.
Derby, speaking of things that are going to be fine, Chronos, The New Dawn, looks like a fine old time.
It
Coming from
does.
Bloober Team, survival horror game, looks very inspired by Dead Space, but with like a red color palette. This game looks incredible. I am really looking forward to this game. I think it's beginning of October. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, and now I'm starting to actually become a little bit sad here, Derby. Give me 1 second here. Chronos, The New Dawn. If I'm not mistaken, Derby, this game comes out October 2nd. If that's the case, that's the same day as Ghost of Yotei. And that's just not good
Oof.
for me. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Steam says 2025. What am I thinking of that comes out October 2nd? That's something that
you
I will
might be
never
thinking
know, I
of
guess.
Yote.
It could be, yeah. It says Q3 or Q4. I could have sworn this
Interesting.
had a release date. Oh well. Something
It's
comes
a
out that day that I want to play, and I'm like, ooh, Ghost of Yotei's that day, so you're not gonna get played. Uh Chronos better hit in October. Maybe even September. Because what are we doing if we release a horror game after Halloween? First of all, fuck yourself. Second of all, don't do that. You know what I
Yeah. What are you
mean?
doing, Resident Evil 9? Why don't you release in October?
Hey, all right, let them cook, dude. February's. I've always said it. February 27th has always been the new Halloween.
Oh yeah, totally.
Dude,
um,
speaking of things that are scary, Drewby. Wait, do you have something to say about Chronos? Hit me with
no,
it.
no. I don't have anything to say about it.
Looks cool
I
though,
think you
right?
said all the things that you said that I
Yeah, it
wanted
looks
to say.
pretty.
It
Yeah, I
does
said
look
all the
cool.
things. Yeah.
You said all the things, yeah.
Speaking of Halloween and being scared, Drewby, we're in that scary part of the showcase where we just do not care. All right, it scares the shit out of me every year. The Elder
Yes,
Scrolls
sir.
Online, the update's already out, called Seasons of the Worm Cult. If you like Elder Scrolls Online, you're not listening to this podcast. Age of Mythology, Retold, Heavenly Spear. I assume that's a DLC that comes out in fall. Fallout 76, Gone Fishing. Actually, really, really cute and really clever right there. Fishing is fission. So Gone Fission.
Yeah,
Fission. Pretty cool. Fallout's so clever, dude. I really like Fallout. There's a
same.
game called Animo coming out in 2026. It's anime. If you're listening to this, you don't like anime.
Oh,
Just in
man.
general, not even anime games, just in general. You don't like anime.
Exactly.
Uh, Getting into things that we kind of do want to talk about, Drewby. We're back, baby. All right. After that sizzle reel of the update in the podcast, Aphelion, new game from Don't Nod, sci-fi game. Looks pretty cool.
It does.
All right, moving on. There are no ghosts at the Grand. Pretty cool. Well, looks like a grand old time, pun intended. This is not the game where it's multiplayer and you're like trying to find like the knives out kind of thing, right? This isn't that.
No, it's not.
This is the one that's like single player and you like hang around with ghosts and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, you should go check out that trailer. Actually, check out both those trailers, Leon and There Are No Ghosts at the Grand, both
Yeah.
2026. Look pretty cool. Drewby, Mudang Two Hearts. I had forgotten what this was. You reminded me right before we started recording. I appreciate that. Keeping me honest.
Thank you
This
so much.
game, this game looks really freaking cool.
It does. I remember reading up on it. The game got like announced like years ago. I want to say like 3 years ago or something like that. And it looks pretty different from where it was at then. But they
Mhm.
showed like a pre-alpha kind of thing. But I think like gameplay wise, this looks really fun. I don't know what the heck they're doing with the story though, where like you play as like this soldier and then the other side of it is playing as like this K-pop star or whatever.
Wait,
It's
what?
yeah, there's like a influencer, like a K-pop star or something like that that you play as. It's really weird, but I don't know. I think the game looks cool regardless. Yeah.
This is from the Steam page. I'm going to read this to you. Mudang Two Hearts is a narrative-driven third-person action adventure that blends cinematic storytelling with immersive stealth and dynamic combat. Built on our state-of-the-art performance capture pipeline, our game integrates fluid motion-matched animations, open-ended level design, dynamic spatial audio, and intelligent AI. Oh, well, you just lost half the audience. All woven seamlessly into the narrative to deliver a harrowing experience journey through a fractured future Korea. This sounds cool. I love Korea. So, well, I love South Korea. I should probably preface that. Mr. Trump,
Man.
if you're listening to this podcast, which I know you are, I do not love North Korea. I don't like Little Rocket Man. All right, pal?
Oh man.
That's got to be the cutout at the beginning of the.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, this game looks
We
really
don't
cool.
love Orange Man either.
That's true. We love Clockwork Orange, though. You know what I mean?
We love Clockwork Orange.
And the Clockwork Revolution Orange, or whatever that game's called, that's never coming out. Moving on, Planet of Lana 2, Children of the Leaf. Planet of Lana is a game that I've always wanted to play, but I never played because I never bought it. But it's
Yeah.
really cool. It's a little indie game.
2D unique art style. Jimmy's favorite.
Jimmy approved his
Yes.
stamp. Approved. We need to get a soundboard. You know what I mean?
True.
Anyway, that's. What do you think about this? You interested at all or no?
In terms of visuals and stuff, yeah. And then also wanted to play the first one too. It's pretty much all my thoughts on it though. I
Yeah.
think this is just like a cool looking indie game.
If you know what Planet of Lana is, you can imagine what this looks like. It looks like the successor to it, which it
Planet of
literally is.
Alana Pierce is just Australia.
Death Stranding 3. You play as Alana. Actually, I might be onto something.
You
Hey,
might
chill.
be, yeah.
Kojima.
I need me my Death Stranding Kojamas, dude.
Kojima, I know you're listening to this, buddy. Just go ahead and hit me up. All right, pal. We
Yep.
can talk in private.
Kojima, great friend of the pod.
Great friend of the pod.
Yep.
All
Oh
right,
man.
Solo Leveling, Arise Overdrive. Like I said, if you're listening to this, you don't like anime, so we're gonna move right on. You know what's not anime, and it's actually epic and skibbity. Ooh,
Tony
I just
Hawk.
lost. Yeah, I just lost. Actually, yeah, literally, yeah, I just lost like half the audience though saying those words. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 plus 4. It's out now. There's a demo out too if you want that. But if you have Game Pass, if you like Tony Hawk, I will say, I played a little bit of the demo. It's Tony Hawk, but obviously they strip back some of the features. There's like open world anymore. Sad. But man, those games are so influential in terms of soundtrack in my youth that I'll always hold a special place for them. But yeah, that's I haven't played the full game yet. I don't even think I have it downloaded yet, Drew. I'm slacking, but
I
I'm on that bonanza right now. You know what I
I
mean?
played a little bit of it yesterday, just for a few minutes. I was just like doing random tricks and stuff. It's Tony Hawk, so
Yeah,
it's fun.
Tony Hawk. Yeah, go to Bikini Bottom or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so Spiritfarer developers have made a new game called At Fate's End. So if you, did I say Spiritfarer?
You did.
Spiritfar?
Yeah.
I can't talk, dude. We've been podcasting a while here. Uh, this game looks cool. If you played Spiritfar, you kind of know what you're getting into here. Uh, Speaking of knowing what you're getting into, Drewby, Gears of War Reloaded, a visual upgrade of Gears of War 1 is coming out August 26th, a day after my birthday. Uh,
Epic.
on PlayStation 5, I think it's $40 if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds about
It's
right.
yeah, it's Gears of War. It's everything you know. It just looks modern. So Drewby and I, along with Jimmy Jam, Architecture Stranger Man, started going through the Gears series last year, which was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Uh, and this is actually they're doing the multiplayer like in the same package as uh, this, which a lot of these things don't do that anymore. So just literally coming off of Tony Hawk, where they didn't even include the free roam mode. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for this. Can't wait to
Same.
play it on my DualSense.
Dude, man, I didn't even think about how crazy it's gonna feel in the DualSense.
Dude, that chainsaw is gonna go so hard.
Oh yeah. The Nasher, dude. Man.
I love me a Nasher.
Yes, sir.
So cool. Yeah, Gears is coming back. It's never gonna die because Xbox is gonna go. It's gonna let that be a part of the Titanic, I guess. I'm like turn 10. Whatever. I'm still pissed about it. Something that I predicted for the Xbox showcase has come true. Persona 4 Revival is real. It's a remake of Persona 4, just like Reloaded was for 3 and Royal was for 5, even though that one's doesn't really count as a remake considering it was just a definitive Game of the Year edition that changed a little few things around. It's not the same thing as Reloaded and Revival, but you know what I mean. It's the R word that gets attached
Whoa.
to that gets attached to the end of the Persona franchise that just gives you the most modern version. You know what I mean? They love
Exactly.
it. They again, if you like
No
this
release date for
podcast,
this though, so
true. I did see something today about it though, and I don't remember what it was. I think it. No, I do remember it. You can just wish list it now on stores.
okay.
So that likely indicates that
Within the
they're
next year.
yeah, that soon they're gonna start allowing you to pre-purchase this, which is smart because Persona 4 is beloved. So Sea of Thieves should have been lumped in with those other games earlier. My apologies. Sea of Thieves out on PlayStation. Who cares? Got an update called Smugglers and Tide. Listen, if you guys are playing these games, I don't mean to sound like a dick, but like if you're playing these games, you already know these updates are coming. So like you don't need me to tell you about it. All right, pals. Something that you need me to tell you about though is a game called Invincible versus VS. Period. It's an invincible fighting game. Really cool art style. It looks just like the comic, you know, looks or the TV show, I guess now. Uh, looks incredible. I don't know how this is gonna do, just because it's a fighting game with just this IP, seemingly.
Yeah.
Uh, unless they throw in like other who did those comics? Image?
Image,
Did
yeah.
Image?
hmm
They could do a lot of things there though. Maybe they
They could.
do.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
I mean, because eventually you're gonna run out of things for Invincible unless you just start throwing random ass characters in there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it looks cool. I don't know what the sustainability of this is, but I'm interested. I mean, I'm on a fighting game kick right now. Like Evo's in 2 weeks. I'm pretty pumped about that. Gonna be watching like intently for the very first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Drewby, you know what else is pretty cool, Beans?
What's
That
that?
after 6 years, they allowed Final Fantasy VII remake to come to the old Xbox. Man, remember when we were like, you can play this game in a year, and then they were like, yeah, you just keep on waiting, pal.
Yeah.
Honestly, you want to know my theory? I think Square Enix was just expecting Xbox to die, so they never had to put it out on the Xbox.
Yeah.
Hey, they came close.
They
Pretty
waited
crazy
in,
though.
they waited until they died to put it on there.
I mean, pretty much. I mean, damn, 20. I mean, it says winter, whatever that means to them. Usually, winter is December, like late December to like January. Usually, when
Yeah.
games say that. If it comes out in January, it would be closer to 6 years. I mean, either way, it's close to 6 years, but that's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Seriously.
I mean, Rebirth is almost out for 2 years. Well, by the time this comes out, it'll be close to 2 years on the PlayStation, and they're just now getting remake.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know. Final Fantasy 16 Shadow dropped at the Xbox event, which is the next game, by the way. But it's leading into like this thing of like that game came out in between remake and rebirth in 2023. Yeah, 2023,
Yeah.
and came out on Xbox 2 years later. But it took remake of one of the most, if not the most popular, well, it's not the most popular, one of the most beloved games of all time in Final Fantasy VII. Almost 6 years to come to Xbox.
It's crazy.
Xbox put their franchises on PlayStation before Final Fantasy VII ever touched Xbox. Well, at least remake. You can play the original.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's still funny. I don't give a shit. I'm a toot. I'm a toot. All right.
He's
Drew,
too.
we're wrapping up here, at least for the Xbox showcase. A couple more left. And this one is a pun because it's a keeper. And that's what it's called. It's Double Fine's next game. Double Fine, of course, makes your Psychonauts games. Coming out October 17th. You play as a freaking lighthouse. How rad is that, dude?
Yes, sir. And the art style looks phenomenal, man.
It does.
This is such a
great.
weird premise. I remember a couple of years ago. Gosh, why am I blanking on the who's the CEO or like the owner of Double Fine again? The creator of
Tim
Double Fine?
Schafer.
Tim Schafer. Yeah, I don't know why I couldn't think of his name. I remember Tim Schafer and one of the other developers. They talked about it like, I don't know, maybe like 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. It was sometime after Psychonauts came out, and they were like, "Hey, the two of us, we came up with a concept for this new game. It's going to be our next game, and we're not going to show it to any of the other developers yet. They're entrusting us to come up with this concept and work on it on our own." So the two of them worked on it by themselves for a bit, came up with this like premise and idea, and then pitched it to like the team. And it came out to be what Keeper is. I think this is just like a super weird premise that only Double Fine would make, and it looks awesome. I can't wait to play it. I haven't finished Psychonauts 2, but I played a good amount of it, and it's fantastic. So I'm all in with Double Fine. And then also shout out to a game that man, I so badly wish they would make a sequel for. But they made Brutal Legend, and that game's freaking rad. And I think now more than ever would be such a good time to bring it back because of like how the music industry is and how rock and metal has kind of been sidelined by a lot of other genres. So I think it would be such a timely game to make. So Double Fine, make that your next game after Keeper. Otherwise, this game isn't going to be a keeper.
True. Jerby, I'm going to keep it real with you. I've never played a Double Fine game. I've always been on the outside looking in. A lot of my friends love them. Friend of the pod, Johnny. He loves Psychonauts. He loves Psychonauts before Psychonauts 2. He used to talk about it
Yeah.
all the time. Then Psychonauts 2 came out. He loved that. Uh, a funny story about Brutal Legends. I always thought that game was a ripoff of Guitar Hero. So every time I looked at it, I would scoff at it. So I don't even know what that game is, to be quite honest, because I would just see the cover of the guy with the guitar, and I'm like, this is a Guitar Hero. Fuck
Dude,
off.
it is fantastic. It is a platforming hack and slash.
Whoa, what?
You play as Jack Black.
See, I did know that. I didn't know that.
And it is like you're basically like a metal band fighting against demons, and it's incredible. It's super funny. And they just kind of play with a lot of like tropes about metal bands, rock bands, all these like different like subgenres. Like there's the emos, the goths, like
Oh,
it's a
this is
grand
made for
time, dude.
me.
Yeah, you definitely need to play it if you can ever get your hands on it. And it also had multiplayer, and the multiplayer was sick. Um,
Dude, this
you
looks awesome.
basically, it's so good. In the multiplayer, you basically had like different teams, and you could choose like, what kind of characters you were controlling, and you'd play as like a main character, but then you would control like it was like a real time strategy, like in the terms of like you're controlling these huge armies, but it was from the perspective of like third person, and you had to like defend your base and stuff. Super sick game.
Is this on Game Pass? Since they own Double
I
Fine?
don't know. I don't know. I'd have to imagine it should be.
It's not on PC, but that doesn't mean much considering it's a 360 game. So
Yeah,
well, I'll look into that. I'll look into that for sure.
it's awesome.
Drury, speaking of things that we're gonna look into because we're simpletons who still love Call of Duty. Call of Duty Black Ops 7 is the game that closed the showcase, and it is a trailer that I do not like because it's like half blend of futuristic, half blend of not, and it's weird and it's uncalled for. Who asked for this?
No one. Okay, let me go on a little rant real quick.
Go on a little rant, dude. You take it away.
Why would you end your showcase with a game we all know is coming out? Everyone knows that Call of Duty's coming out this year, every year. Don't end it with this. Put this trailer earlier in the showcase, or just don't show this trailer at all. Because why are we getting a pre-rendered like CG trailer for a Call of Duty? We haven't had that in like a decade. Like they just don't do that anymore. You like if they would do that, it would be like a quick teaser trailer before like the actual big reveal. So this was random and weird. And then also the CEO of Activision had the audacity to say that they're trying to market the game as if it was a Beyonce album rollout. Like, what are you doing? This is Call of Duty. Like the it I don't know, man. And on top of that, like, yeah, I'm it's cool that we're getting, I guess, a follow up to Black Ops 2, like a proper one, because Black Ops 3 is not. Um, but but like, why? Honestly, like I really feel like they should have just skipped this year, and I'm really worried that this is just going to be exactly what they did with Modern Warfare 3, like not the original, but the like rebooted version of Modern Warfare 3, where it was just a half step. The campaign was literally just levels that were essentially Warzone levels where you would drop into, and the story was half-assed. And the multiplayer wasn't as perfected as it could have been. The multiplayer in Modern Warfare 3 actually wasn't bad. There was things about it that I liked, but the game, like, clearly it was just so underbaked. And I have a really bad feeling that it's going to be a repeat with this. At the same time, though, like, I don't know. They're doing a co-op campaign. I don't know what the heck they're going to be doing with that. Is it going to be actual like narrative driven, or is it going to be like a Warzone kind of thing again? Yeah, so I'm just worried that Black Ops 7 is going to be a half step. There's rumors that Blackout is going to be the battle royale mode, and that they're ditching they're ditching like Warzone, so that's interesting and weird. I don't know what's happening. They accidentally, the Call of Duty page accidentally leaked some modes that they're having with in-game screenshots. And
Smart.
so they leaked it actually on the PlayStation Store. Funnily enough.
That actually happened for either Advanced Warfare or Infinite Warfare. I remember
Yeah.
I had a viral post once because I was on the PlayStation. We were on tour with my band back in the day, and we were at some place in South Carolina. Some person let us crash at their place, and we were. I was on the PlayStation store just looking around. I don't remember why, but that page for Call of Duty had popped up, and I took a picture of it, and I was like, "Hey, look, the next Call of Duty is leaked," and it blew up because obviously, and it was a huge thing. It was pretty cool.
That's pretty epic. Um, but yeah, so I don't know. Like, am I gonna play this game? Yeah, it's gonna be on Game Pass. It's Call of Duty. I play it every year, but I'm expecting it to be a half step. If they surprise me, cool. If not, what are you doing, Call of Duty? What are you doing, Xbox? Why would you end your showcase with this?
Yeah, it's a bad thing to end with. It should have been the opening thing, and they should not have
Yep.
teased the Outer Worlds 2
They could have ended
again.
with Clockwork, because that was a massive like gameplay reveal, like all this cool stuff. That would have been a great way to end it.
Dude, don't get me started about endings. That was so stupid. Oh my god. Ugh, whatever. Xbox. You know what, Xbox? We're gonna leave you right there because next episode we're gonna do a deep dive into Xbox. What the hell is going on with Xbox? Where do they stand? The state of Xbox in 2025 is your next episode of the Casket Minds podcast. So please be excited for that. I sound like the
Indeed.
Nintendo guy. Please clap. That was actually a really good snap. Holy shit.
That was.
Listen, I'm not going to toot a little bit. I'm going to toot a lot of bit on that one. Juby, we're rounding out the end of the show here, right? But there's one more thing that we got to do before we go here. We got to talk about PlayStation's involvement in fake E3. Now, they did do the state of play a few months ago that really kickstarted us off.
Yeah.
But in that, they announced the state of play for Ghost of Yotei. And it's out. 20 minutes of gameplay. Before we get into the gameplay thing, I do want to cover this really quickly. They released some stuff for Ghost of Yotei. There's two different controllers. There's like cover plates if you already own a PS5, and I believe they also have like the same editions of the PS5, like if with the covers on them already. Um, they all look really sick. So if you like special edition stuff, uh, you should definitely look into getting one of those. If you already own a PS5 or need another DualSense, these are well worth it in my opinion. Of course, if you're watching the video version of the podcast, you'll be looking at them now. But if not, you gotta do some extracurricular activity if you haven't seen them already. Head over to the PlayStation Store, or whatever it's called. Actually, PlayStation Store, I guess, is the digital market front. I don't know what is it on. I feel like I have the URL literally in my mind, but I can't think of it. Anyway, it's in the description. Who cares? If not, just Google PlayStation. You know how to use Google. If you're here, you know how to use Google. You don't like anime, thank God.
True.
But Drewby, give me them Ghost of Yotei thoughts because I'm really interested to hear what you think about it.
Yeah. So, man, I think that this was a good presentation. I'm really curious about this game though. There's a lot about it that I think look absolutely phenomenal. One of the moments in this presentation that really just floored me was whenever the character is out in the field on the horse, and then the developer was like, the way that we really want you to play though, so whip out your spyglass and go wherever you want to. And then it had this phenomenal music kick in, and you just see the character riding her horse along the field, and I'm like, man, these vibes are incredible. But I'm very curious. We've seen a lot of this game. We've seen a lot of like story trailer stuff. This gameplay reveal though had like hardly any story things involved. It was a lot more of like what you can do in the open world. Um, but I'm really curious about the like approach to storytelling because it almost seems like I could be wrong. I could be misunderstanding things, but it seems like they're doing a less linear storytelling and more of like you can kind of pick and choose of like how you approach it, not in terms of gameplay, but in terms of how you progress the story. And I don't know how I feel about that because I feel like any open world game that I've ever played that has taken that approach usually doesn't nail it well. There's always like something that like holds back the story from being good, or like there'll be missions that feel repetitive, or things will feel disjointed if you approach it from this way and then jump onto it that way. So I don't know how I feel about that because, the first game was not like that at all. This is not something that they've established with the Ghost series before.
The
Um,
goat.
the Goat series, yeah. Uh, so I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I won't know how I feel about that until I get my hands on it, or until we like start hearing more about it. Uh, yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at on it. Like like super excited for the game. I still need to finish the first one, and I'll do that before the second one comes out. Um, but that has me slightly concerned because I've never seen that approach executed well. Like even looking at like massive RPGs, let's take like Cyberpunk or Witcher 3 or like any of these other big RPGs. Um, they still have linear storytelling. Like you can do a bunch of like side quests and stuff, but most of the like main story quests are gonna be in a linear fashion. So I don't know. I really hope that Sucker Punch doesn't disappoint. They've never disappointed before. So I don't want this to be the time where they do.
Let me give you the counterpoint to because I think that your worries are warranted and valid, but the game that influenced Ghost of Tsushima and obviously Ghost of Yotei now very even more directly is Breath of the Wild, in which
Yeah.
they throw you into this world. They give you they give you the premise, and it's like, okay, this is your world. This is a character that exists in the world. Now you have to go do what you need to do to get the conflict resolved. Um, if you do not want to know anything about the premise of this game, which would be weird, I guess, but this isn't a spoiler because it's literally the premise of the game. It's in every trailer. Um, these set of people kill the main character's family in some capacity. I don't even remember if it's parents, spouse, whatever. And the idea is that you have to hunt them down. And I love that you probably don't have your bearings, right? Especially back then, like less likely to have maps. Um, you have to go do some investigation. There's not like a checklist anymore. I love Tsushima. I platinumed it. Spent close to 100 hours probably just in the single player. Um, and then, but I didn't like that. At some points, I felt like I was just doing a checklist, just like the open world game thing of like, it's the Ubisoft thing of checklists of going to here, doing this, unlocking the next thing, just feeling like I'm checklisting.
Yeah.
Uh, and in some games that are like built upon that, like for instance, Donkey Kong Bonanza is a collectathon with a minuscule story, but a charming one, albeit. But you don't play that game for the story. You're playing it to experience it, to collect all the bananas, all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Ghost of Tsushima didn't really feel like it needed to be that, and so in this one, having it not be like in your face about it is good. Like this state of play really showed that like you're gonna have to go do this thing, and then like you're gonna have to prioritize like what you actually want to look for, like in the open world, like what is important to you.
Yeah.
I think I really hope this game doesn't hold your hand. I would love to like be sent out and be like, I have to go talk to this people in this village. Be like, hey, do you know who these people are? like and lead me to like they're like no go like northeast or something, and like that's where they're located, and then like you have to set out on by yourself, like no help. Obviously, we know that there's gonna be help with the wolf or whatever, but like I would even like it scaled back even more of being like go here, you talk to these people, you have to go find the people that kill you, and it would feel like super realistic to me. Um,
Yeah.
I would love doing that approach, and that might honestly be how I play it. Like very minimalistic but realistic at the same time. Uh, so I'm kind of the opposite of you. Over like I love that we're being thrown into this world and like being told like, hey, go approach this any way that you want to. Like you don't have to kill a certain someone first. Like you like me and you might do the exact opposite order, which would be kind of cool. Or
Yeah.
we could do the exact same order. There's a lot of like player agency there. Um, I think my main concern is that I really like the switching of the stances in the first game. I thought that was a really
I do
brilliant way
too.
of keeping it up. The weapons and changing the weapons, I wonder how fluid and how like good that's gonna feel. Like when I'm actually holding it in my hand and I need to switch. Um, so that's a concern. But like I also worry that like it's gonna feel too much like Ghost of Tsushima, which sounds silly because obviously it's a same story, same not same story, but I almost said same series, which is more correct, but it
Yeah.
didn't sound right in my head. It's not a sequel, but it's the same series, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So it looking, sounding, and feeling the same makes sense. I just don't want it to feel too similar. The weapons obviously help that, but at the same time, it's like, is that too much? Like, is balancing four sets of weapons feel too much? Because obviously, there's going to be different types of like different. There's going to be more of the kind of each weapon. So like, say there's four different kinds of each weapon. That's 16 weapons altogether. If like there's different, and they all do something different. I guess that's kind of cool, but at the same time, it's like, is that too much for what this story is going for? I'm not sure. Um, I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm sure that I'm gonna like it. You know what I mean? I don't think there's any world where I don't like this game, but I
Yeah.
would I would prefer if I loved it more than Tsushima. But will
Yeah.
I? I'm not sold on that part yet.
Yeah. I think that's like a great point is like there's no way that this game is not going to be like awesome, right? It's going to
Yeah.
be a good game. But will the new gameplay features feel like an improvement upon the first? Because I think Ghost of Tsushima is fantastic, but it feels like one of those games of like, okay, well, you're establishing something that can be built upon, that can be improved on, that can like, the sky's the limits from this point.
Mhm.
Um, and I feel like there hasn't been anything that's been revealed for this game yet where I'm like, this is like for sure going to be better than the first game.
Mhm.
Um, like
Yeah.
even the story for the first game has me more sold than the story for the second game. Not saying that the story for the second game doesn't sound good. I still think it's cool, but I I don't know. And then like also there's an element to it of like, well, the first game was kind of built around a revenge story in a way. A different approach, but like I'm like, is it gonna be too samey in that way too?
Mhm.
So I don't know. But I think regardless, like this is for sure gonna be a great game. I have no doubts about that. I hope that when I play it, I'll be like, this is just as great or like in terms of story or if not better. Um and I hope there's enough gameplay differences here that make it feel like a sequel. Uh cuz obviously like it looks visually better for sure, but there's still a lot of like gameplay elements in it where I'm like, man, this almost looks one to one to the first game. And I was like kind of hoping for like maybe just a little bit more with some things, but I also don't think that's like necessarily a bad thing either, because there's plenty of games that I've played that are sequels or like the next part of a series that has very similar gameplay elements just because it's like not necessarily anything they need to be improved upon. I guess like the best way to put it is like there's not a lot of new gameplay elements that I'm like, oh, this is brand new. Like that we haven't seen this in the first game before. The weapon system, it's new, but like in a way, it's still kind of the stance system because with the stances in the first game, you had to switch between those depending on enemy types.
Yeah.
So when they're like, oh, you've got new weapons, but it's like, oh, well, the dual swords work best against the spears. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's kind of like you're just changing the name of it and changing the look of it in a way.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I like all that being said, I think the game looks great. Don't get me wrong, but I want to be like surprised by the game when I play it.
I don't know if it actually looks better than Ghost of Tsushima, and I would probably have to play them very close together, which I probably will end up doing, at least it's like running around the open world. To me, it just isn't different enough, and I'm having to rely on the story to really sell me on this game because it's like, I don't mind like going from a guy to a girl. Like I'm not part of the woke Twitter mob that are like, oh, a girl in game. Like some of my favorite video games are playing as females, like or
Yeah,
women, whatever you want to vernacular, whatever, body type B, whatever. Um, it's just that like that kind of thing, like changing the weapon system, it's still going to operate the same way. It seemed, at least from the state of play, to me that like these
yeah,
enemies are only going to be able to be killed by this type of weapon. So it's like it's the same thing with a different coat of paint. The world looks very strikingly similar. Obviously, it's gorgeous, but like a problem with open world video games to me is that when you create an open world, you want an open world, and it's again, this is going to go back to Donkey Kong Bonanza as well. Every game feels like it has to have every single season in its world. Like it has to have a snowy part, it has to have a mountain part, it has to have a beachy part. Like it has to have like these check marks, otherwise people are going to complain about it. But then when you do a
yeah,
sequel, how do you change it up?
yeah,
I'll give props to Death Stranding 2 for really changing up like, and obviously it's using like the real world, but like the environments in that game, you can tell that one's different than the other one. Like
yeah.
if I put Jin in Ghost of Yotei, would I be able to tell the difference? Probably
Not
not.
at all. Yeah,
Like the weapon type, like it's these minuscule details that are like, is it enough for me to win me over? And I think that the reason that well, that's not true. I was gonna say the reason that I love Ghost of Tsushima so much is the story, which it probably is top two, but like that world is obviously gorgeous. That's gonna carry over to Ghost of Yotei, no doubt. But I feel like also so Ghost of Tsushima's story is far more I won't even say nuanced because we obviously we haven't played a Ghost of Yotei yet, but like I feel like we've seen even this year we've seen Assassin's Creed Shadows do the story of like they killed my parents, I have to go or family or whatever, and I have to go do that, right?
yeah,
It's literally the same thing. It we've seen this story so many times that
we
I'm
have.
hoping that they change it up a smidge because like even Ghost of Tsushima's isn't like drastically different, and I'm not gonna spoil the game for you or anyone else at home, but like there's there's stuff in that game that is like been done before, but I think they do it so brilliantly that like it makes you care about the characters. Um, I'm pretty sure the ending that I chose because there's multiple that I chose was canon, and it moved me. And if we can get that from Ghost of Yotei, I'll be happy. But it's also like I'm judging the game before it's even out, so obviously it's
Yeah.
take it with a grain of salt. You know what I mean?
Also, there's like an element to Ghost of Yotei that I haven't really been sold on yet for the story and premise either. And that's the first game. Like, it's not just like, oh, like a revenge story with like family and stuff, but it's I am trying to take back the island from the Mongols taking it over.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's this large scale like invasion, and you really get that sense. But like this being just a story of revenge, chasing a group called the Yotei, I don't know. it it feels like a smaller story. So I
Yeah.
hope that there's like if they are doing like a smaller scale story, I hope that there's more like emotion, like it's more intimate,
Hmm.
I guess. Um and maybe that's where it really wins me over. But
Yeah. True.
yeah, I think like just the premise of the first game speaks to me a little bit more because like sure we've seen stories and games and movies before of like one person is like a group of people are invading another trying to take over, you fight back, you're a resistance kind of fighter, but we haven't seen a game like Ghost of Tsushima before. We've never gotten like this straight up historical period piece kind of game that doesn't have supernatural elements in this setting about the Mongolians taking over like the island. Like we haven't seen anything like that before. And so it felt so new and fresh. And I think the story for this one feels familiar, like almost a little bit too familiar. But again,
Hmm.
we're looking from the outside. We're not looking on the inside, actually playing the game.
Yeah.
And I'd have to imagine like they have to have something more to it that they're just not revealing yet. And that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think there's something more than meets the eye. Like, if it's just a simple like we hunt them down and kill them, and that's the satisfaction of it, I'm not sure. Unless they sell me on the character on the in between moments, like the moment to moment, which doesn't feel like that's what this game's going to be. Like, it doesn't even feel like narratively it's going to be similar to Ghost of Tsushima. Of like, you go up here, you talk to this person, you're learning about them, like um, there's characters in there that you really start to love. Whereas this one, it feels like you're gonna go find these people, and it's gonna be a little more like a hitman kind of thing of like you're hunting these people down for what they did, and like when you get there, there might be some cutscenes and stuff with like maybe you finding the information. But what's gonna be like the moment to moment? Like what's it gonna be like when I go into a village and talk to someone? Like, am I gonna learn more about this character? Atsu, or am I gonna like is she gonna be more like a silent protagonist? Like I'm not quite sure what I'm getting, and I'm not quite sure how the story is gonna be delivered unless it's again like a smaller scale story. But
Yeah.
then the world's gonna have to be so like lived in and breathed in that like if if I'm not getting narrative beats, like I have to believe that this is a real world that I'm hunting down these people like that are further away, that are all spread out on this map, hypothetically, right? Um, I don't know. The more I'm talking about it, the more it excites me. So that's a good thing. But at the same
Yeah.
time, it's like I guess because once I get this game, I mean, actually, right around now is when it came out 5 years ago. So I haven't played Ghost of Tsushima in 5 years. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
booted it up a couple times. Like when I got the PS5, I booted it up and I was like, I ran around the world because it's beautiful. Am I gonna get that same feeling when I play Ghost of Tsushima or Ghost of Yotei? I hope so, right?
Yeah.
I have a PS5 Pro. I'm really hoping that like it gives me some kind of benefit, um, like a wow factor, like maybe stable 60 FPS at least, or you know, actual 4K that's not like shifting and dynamic. I would love to, or like upscaled. I mean, rather. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess we'll find out soon. But Drewby, we're gonna wrap this thing up. So before we do, overall impressions of Faux 3, Fake E3. Was it a good year? Was it a bad year? Was it a mid year? What do you think?
I'd say it's a pretty good year. I
Okay.
think that we had some great stuff and we had some pretty good things. I think overall though, like I said, with Xbox felt like, a step back from last year's. With uh Summer Game Fest, like the actual Summer Game Fest,
Yeah.
felt like a step in the right direction from last year's. Not still on the level of 2023's though. So I still think there's like, room for improvement there. I think like that presentation, the pacing for Summer Game Fest was like maybe the best that they've had so far though. Um, so I think there's good stuff there. We talked about the state of play that we had before Summer Game Fest. Before we had a we had an episode on that, um, and that was great stuff. I think that's like one of the best that we've had, like just overall. So it's there hasn't been anything where I'm like, man, that was like super disappointing or bad or anything like that. But there also was like still a lot of room for like things that could have had me like super excited. Like there's still so many games that have been announced that have been revealed before, or games that we know are coming out within the next few years that we still don't know a damn thing about. Um, that we haven't seen in a long while. And that to me is kind of upsetting. Like I thought for sure Sony was gonna do something, at least just one thing at Summer Game Fest this year. I think that would have hit super hard, and they didn't. So that kind of sucked. Like we had talked about it before on our predictions episode, but we like really, I think that both of us really thought, this is the time for Cory Barlog's game to get revealed, and that just didn't happen. And so, you know, there's that element of like, man, I'm really disappointed with Xbox now because of the stuff that we'll get into on our next episode. But there's also still like some things where it's like, man, I'm still a little disappointed in PlayStation because it's like you're on the cusp of having like a huge lineup of incredible games, and it's like I'm just ready to get there. So a lot of it is just my own like impatience and me being the gamer that I am. But yeah, I don't know. I think like overall this was pretty good. Really good in a lot of ways, just pretty good in others.
What would you score it out of 10 if you could?
I'm kind of like, I don't know, maybe I'd say like 7.5
Okay.
overall. Yeah.
So you're
I'm
just good.
still high up on it because there's a lot of great
Yeah.
things that were revealed. So yeah, I don't know.
Okay. So you're just below me. I would give this an 8. I would say this is very good. Um, Sony being a part of it is massive for me, even if it's
That's
not
true.
like, this magnificent showing in terms of, we didn't get Corey Barlog's next game, we don't get God of War, we don't get Intergalactic or Naughty Dog's next thing. We don't know what Insomniac's doing, considering the Wolverine's freaking being hidden at this point. Um, there's a lot of things that Sony has that we know about that just not being shown. That is what it is. But also, we got freaking Marvel Token, dude. Like that game
Yeah.
looks. I still think about that game almost every single day. I cannot wait for that freaking game. Um, Resident Evil 9 showcase or show capping the Summer Game Fest. Xbox showing a Clockwork Revolution. Almost an orange again. Um, and Ghost of Yotei looks really, really good. I can't give it anything lower just because I think that there's a lot of things coming that I want to play. Naturally, where video games are at this current state, when you're giving 2 hour shows to Summer Game Fest, that in my opinion, doesn't need to be that long. Give it an hour and a half and cut some of the fat. You know what I mean? But I also know that I'm not, you know, Summer Game Fest isn't necessarily perfected for me. Like, there's always a third of the show showcase where I'm like, this is pretty cool, but I'll never play it. Or it's an anime game or a mobile game or like a VR game, and it's like that's just not what I want, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Xbox is really catered to me, like PlayStation is really catered to me. Summer Game Fest, I don't know if it'll ever be truly for me, just because it also has to pay a lot of the bills. Like when you get a Final Fantasy VII, when you get an Elden Ring, when you get The Last of Us Part One, like the remake, like those cost money, and like in order to get those, you have to have like the smaller things. We know that. That's why I always put the sizzle reel to pay the bills. Um, but yeah, this one is a very good one for me. I left very happy. I feel like we're in a really good spot, and Though I am disappointed that we didn't get some things, we're so close to both of the big brands, even Nintendo, like blowing their load in terms of like huge games.
Yeah.
Housemarque has a game coming out. Naughty Dog has a game coming out. You know, Sony Santa Monica has a game coming out. Insomniac should have at least probably like a couple games coming out soon. Like we're really close to getting massive games from PlayStation. We know what's coming from
True.
Xbox. Next year we could get Halo, Fable, and Gears, which is insane. You
Yeah.
know, Grand Theft Auto 6 is also coming. We got to think about that. Like that's gonna take our entire summer probably just to play and like master and
More
get
than that,
through it.
probably.
Seriously, like because by the time we get like we're satisfied or at least nearly satisfied with the single player, they'll drop the multiplayer, and then
Exactly.
we'll be in there and we'll be playing and like then you always have like the yearly sports titles that I'm always sucked into. Like I just crossed 300 hours on FC 25 the other day. Like
Yeah.
it's there's so much and there's just more greatness coming and it's exciting. Um,
Yeah. I think actually, now that I'm really thinking about it, I think I'm going to actually bump up my rating to an 8. Because I do think that overall, there was a lot of games that I'm like, yeah, I want to play that. Even if I never will, it's
yeah,
like, okay, I would play that. So I think there's a lot of great stuff on the horizon for sure. Um, Still not perfect. There's still like the caveats that I gave of like things where I'm like, well, I could critique that and criticize that. Um, but yeah, I think this is an exciting year for games for sure, and we've got a lot of exciting things on the horizon.
and
Um,
that's that PlayStation State of Play dude was so good. Like I
yeah,
have a huge doc, so I'll just list you just a couple of the things that like we haven't talked about, like Pragmata, Romeo is a Dead Man, Ninja Gaiden, Ragebound, which is coming out in like 11 days. The Mortal Kombat collection, which is awesome. The fight, like we got Metal Gear Solid Delta coming out next month. Neo 3 is coming out early 2026. Um, then you got Sword of the Sea coming out in August, and then we got a 007 game officially announced. Like we didn't talk about that today, but like this was a great year, dude. Like
yeah.
so good.
And on top of that, I know Nintendo technically wasn't a part of the Summer Game Fest,
But they
but
had a
them
console launch.
having their console launch and then also having that huge direct like
Yes,
leading up to it, which kind of started
it
like
did. It
the
really
Summer
did.
Game Fest. It was pretty awesome. Yeah.
And think about Nintendo in 2025. Like we got Switch 2, which is a great, pardon me, is a great console. We got Mario Kart World, which is a great game. We got Donkey Kong Bonanza, which multiple people are calling masterpiece. I'll probably be one of them at the end of the day. We got Pokemon Legends ZA, which looks awesome. You're probably getting Gen. Ooh, are we in 11 now? The next generation of Pokemon probably next year.
Yeah.
You gotta think there's a new Mario game coming probably soon, but probably not from this like the Odyssey team, obviously, because they just made Bonanza.
Prime
But
4
like,
later this year.
what?
Metroid Prime 4 later this
Oh,
year.
I think it said Crime 4, and I was like, what the hell are you talking?
Yeah, Crime
Yeah,
4. Crime
uh,
4 plus 2. That's coming out next year. It's
my
called
hot take
GTA
is
6.
my hot take, Drewby, is that I still don't know if Metroid Prime 4 is coming this year. What I don't. Why haven't they haven't given us anything on that game? They just keep saying it's 2025. I hope
I
it's this
don't know.
year. I'm a
Yeah.
Metroid stan, but man, whatever. Anyway, yeah, that game's coming. It'll be here eventually, and it's gonna be
Yeah.
impeccable. Like Nintendo showed up this year, and that's awesome. Like the fact that we got Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza in between, like us doing this episode and then doing the first episode, like for the Sony thing, awesome, 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 awesome.
Yeah.
Not to mention the upgrades for all their other great games as well. So
Fantastic
we
console. Listen to our Switch 2 review if you haven't yet.
Yes, please do. It's in your podcast feed. It's on the YouTube, dude. It's everywhere that you need it to be to find to listen. But that's going to do it for us. So as always, thank you guys for watching and listening to the Casket Minds podcast. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and now on Twitch with the link tree in the description. If you want to follow us personally, I am at Marikarth on everything. And Drewby?
At Drubaka on Twitter
With 3 A's.
with 3 A's.
So until next time, share, like, subscribe, someone that you think would enjoy the channel, and we'll see you next time. See ya.